Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Informer Show, a weekly video game podcast releasing every Thursday. I am your host, Alex Stadnick. As always, I'm honored to be joined by the illustrious Alex Van Aken. Hello, sir.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Alex. Glad to be here. Haven't podcasted in a minute, so
yeah, we almost like we got some sleep for once. It also feels weird. I can't like reach out to my right and like touch your beautiful face. It makes me sad.
That was all
you
a
guys
dream.
doing that in the
You guys
hotel?
live down the hall from each other.
Potato, tomato, Marcus. Join us each episode alongside a rotating crew of GI editors and special guests from around the industry, bringing you the latest news, reviews, and big man swag your eyes and ears can handle. This week, I'm going fast because we have a lot to cover. We're going to be talking about our experience at SGF. We're going to be talking about, we're actually playing video games now, which is fantastic. We have really great games to talk about. We're going to talk about our Xbox reactions, our Capcom reactions, the emails, and one sad thing. Happy thing, but very sad thing. And that is the departure of one Kim K. Star Wallace. I spoiled who else is on the episode. But first, let's introduce the crew. K-Star, hello, how are you?
Hi. Wow, this feels weird that this is going to be my last one with you guys, but let's make it count.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go. I got to do one more. Let's go.
Let's go. We are also joined by the online content director, beautiful man himself, Brian Shea.
Hello. I'm excited to talk about SGF and Kim.
Yeah, I am too. I don't have a joke for that. Marcus Stewart also here, who I'm realizing I don't really have a nickname for.
M-Stew.
I feel like that changes every time we record anything ever.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to be
It's
here with
easy.
you guys today.
I like M-Stew as much as I hate it.
M-Stew?
You know? M-Stew,
Yeah, M-Stew.
Oh boy.
I had for
Big
dinner
bowl
last
of
night.
Yep. Get some M-Stew, baby.
Oh boy, that's gonna stick to your ribs.
Hi,
Oh.
there we go.
Oh.
Yeah, keep that energy. And then, of course, the pride of Louisville, I guess. I don't know. You're probably like the sixth most famous person out of Louisville. Blake Hester, right?
Recently, there was a tweet going around like, "Are you the most famous person that went to your high school?" And I was like, definitely not. But I was thinking about my graduating class, and I would say I'm top 5.
I wish. Yeah,
Not because I'm famous. It was just an unremarkable class at
Right.
Trinity High School,
Yeah.
class of 2012. But shout out to Pierce Abernathy and Ernie Utah Stevens because they're way more famous than me.
Man, one of my
Ernie
classmates plays in the
Utah
NFL.
Stevens.
What's his name?
Emmanuel Cook. I don't know if he still plays, but he did for a minute. I know.
Huh.
I think he was at the 49ers, but he was like one of our star football players. And
Yeah.
and then he got big. He's in Madden probably somewhere.
Oh,
Ernie's
that's
a professional figure skater.
okay.
Why he's more famous than me.
Yeah, that fits.
Pierce is an influencer.
Speaking of more famous than us, Kim Wallace. It's been quite the journey. If people haven't seen you after 8 years at GI,
No, a
No?
decade.
did you do it? Did you do 10? I'm thinking of Shay. Shay did 8
Yeah.
years.
I did. I did.
Why are we talking in past tense about me?
Has done 8 years. Excuse me. Yeah. See, Blake's gonna be mad at me for using that past tense again.
Oh, man.
No, passive verbs. Past tense is fine. You want to avoid passive verbs.
That's what it is. See, I can't even talk right. Kim, you are leaving us. You are on to bigger and better things. Do you want to announce now or later? Do we want to talk about your journey so far first?
I mean, whatever you want to do, I'm fine with.
Okay.
Um,
Let's talk about the journey. You've been
Yeah.
here quite some time. What's been some of your favorite memories?
Oh my gosh, there is so many. I really loved every time we did Extra Life. I'll never forget eating those hot peppers because that just stays with you. You can't unforget it.
It does
But-
permanent damage to your body.
The candy clams were the worst. I couldn't even
Oh
deal
my
with that.
God.
That was the
Mhm.
worst thing I've ever had to do for Extra Life. I would take a hot pepper over that, and because you just had to keep on. Oh God. Gosh, other great moments. Super Replay showdowns were always really fun. I really feel like we were and still are like a close knit family, and so it was always fun to kind of have the rivalries going. Obviously, I got to do so much with this job. Going to Japan was a big thing. Like, I remember that first trip was just absolute. Like, I can never replace that in my memories. So props to Andrew Reiner for thinking of me for that, because I was actually scared to go, and I was like, I don't share this much, but I did not like flying before GI, and
Really?
I didn't really visit too many places. I think I'd only been to like Florida, and that was like honestly
That's where you
it.
go.
Yeah, right, with the plane, because my grandma obviously retired down there, because that's where
Well,
people go. That's where
obviously.
people go to retire.
If
And
nothing else,
so-
Game Informer definitely makes you less afraid of flying.
Right,
because you fly a
right.
lot.
But like to go internationally, that was like huge for me, into somewhere like Japan. And then I ended up like loving it and kept going back and kept going back. And like I said, I've gotten to interview some of the most amazing people through the years. I mean, some of my favorite Japanese developers, Tetsuya Nomura. Yeah, visiting Square Enix and the Final Fantasy studios always really sticks out to me too, because obviously grew up playing a lot of their games, and Final Fantasy was that core franchise. Yeah, it's so hard because like everything kind of is a blur, and then certain things stand out as you think about it. But yeah, it's been a wild 10 years. And I almost can't believe it, because when I started, like I was just a young kid in my 20s, and now
Right.
I feel very
You're
very old.
still a young
these
kid
years.
in your 20s, right?
Yes, let's say
Yeah.
I've turned 21 for the past decade every
Wow.
year. So
That sounds exhausting.
That's a feat in itself.
Yeah.
You were 21 when you started at Game
No,
Informer?
no.
Oh,
I just used to, from the time I turned 25, I said I was going backward, and every year would just be my 21st birthday. So
Gotcha,
that's how
gotcha.
that's how I live my life. What
Gotcha.
can I say?
Well, I was going to save this for community, but I figured we're on the subject, so might as well do
Okay.
it now. We do have a community question that I think a
Mhm.
couple that feels accurate, appropriate here. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Daniel Take. I don't know.
Oh no.
Oh.
Daniel Tosh, actually.
Tosh.0 wrote into the show. Says, here's a couple ones. It says, what's the coolest thing that ever happened on those sweet Japan trips? We can start with that one.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you have an answer, I can read through the rest of them, but if you have an answer, you can go now.
Yeah, when I did my interview with Yoko Taro, I brought him beer, and we sat and drank a beer and had the interview.
Wow.
Hands down, the best thing that's happened when I was in Japan.
That's awesome.
He's such a cool guy, and he was just so relaxed and just so thankful that I brought the
Yeah.
beer.
He drank it through the helmet, right?
I was about to ask.
He tried.
He tried, yeah.
Also, fun tidbit, I do have a picture on my phone with him, but it's without the mask, and I'm never allowed to
Wow.
show anyone. That's what he told me.
Oh.
So
Mm.
it's locked there. Yeah, that
Okay.
was a lot of fun. I did karaoke also with some of the Square Enix staff, which was really fun. And I just think like, God, there's so much on those Japan trips. It's so, and visiting all the themed restaurants, right? Dragon Quest, the Final Fantasy 14 cafe. I did the Capcom restaurant. Like, just like there's stuff you can do in Japan that's just like so awesome that you just don't get here.
Is the food good, or is it just like the theme?
Oh, at those themed cafes? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's all about the presentation. It's
Right.
like, if you want,
Yeah.
if you just want good food, just go anywhere else. But if you just want, the Pokemon Cafe. The Pokemon Cafe didn't have bad food.
I'm so mad I haven't gone there.
Yeah. There's a lot of good.
Do you
good
eat
memories.
the Pokemon?
Yeah, they bring you out a live
catch them all
Pikachu.
somehow.
My
That's what they
Charmander's
say.
a little chimchar right now.
Yeah,
Can you
like
send this
Pid-
back, please? Yeah.
Pidgey tenders.
But what I loved, what I was gonna say, what I loved about Japan is that I always tried to bring it to our readers, and so that whole week that I would be there, I would just turn Game Informer into Game Informer Japan, and like just keep putting articles out. Like I said, I got to go to the Nier Orchestra concert, and that was really fun while I was there. Like anything that I was doing, like I was walking around and there's a Persona like pop-up store, and like I just always like to share the experience because it was so much fun, and it was like I said, my favorite part was just being able to take over Game Informer and really embrace, an industry that I love and the games I love and the series. Because for me, it was always cool that you could walk around and like you just spot an entire store devoted to the Tales series. Like that was so amazing to me. I'm like, you can't just do that in America.
I
okay?
remember the first time, or I guess the only time I've gone to Japan so far. Like I had just played Persona 5 like I guess a year and a half earlier, so I was still obsessed with it. I still am, but like I was just taken aback by how much Persona merch there was over there, just
Mhm.
sitting on store shelves in like Akihabara. And it's like, oh my god, like this is a different planet. Like, you have to go to like a gaming convention to
This is
see
where
that
I
type
get
of
all
stuff.
my Fire Emblem stuff, is honestly when I go over there, because it's just like, oh, I can finally find this now.
Right. Okay. Cool. Sweet young Daniel also writes in and says, "What's your favorite ice cream flavor?"
Oh God, this is a tough question.
Is it?
I don't want to, like, I'm kind of a mint chocolate chip girl, but I'm also really like
Respectable.
Rocky Road
Ooh.
and cookie dough as well. So
Shout out to the cookie dough. Tack yelled at me about liking cookie dough one time, so I feel the
What?
pressure there.
Oh
yeah,
man, actually, that sounds
That-
like Dan.
that's a Tack thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
tis
my God.
problem.
Kim, after we get your going away dinner, can we get going away ice cream at Sebastian
course.
Joe's?
I
Ooh.
wouldn't expect anything less.
I got a
so mad
milkshake
at
from
this
there
thing.
2 nights ago.
Oh, was it good?
It was. I got raspberry chocolate.
Ooh. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Final one from Tack. You kind of answered. He asked about favorite GI experience that didn't include work. I think you kind of covered it, but do you have an answer for that? Or do you feel like you kind of covered it?
Yeah, experience that didn't include work. I mean, it always included work because it was for Game Informer.
I would say
I
that
don't
like
understand that question.
my favorite experience that I guess doesn't really include work, but like
Mhm.
it involves Kim and GI and everything would be like whenever we'd go to the conventions, like
Mhm.
E3 or PlayStation Experience, and like the times where we weren't working, we were just all kind of hanging out, going to like the bars and everything. Like that's a GI experience, but like it's with GI folks and other industry folks, but like, you know, it's not like we're out there like writing articles at the bar.
Right.
Don't speak
Yeah.
for yourself. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I mean, those were always so much fun to do, and like kind of go out and meet up with all of our friends and like create one giant game industry group. I would say that would be my favorite experience with you in general. So I'm glad we had that.
Yeah, no, I think it was always fun bonding with everybody because I don't think people realize how exhausting those shows are, and your brain's just constantly going, and you're going from one like game meeting to trying to write. Because for somebody like when I would cover, especially like CD Projekt Red stuff, it's like you have to, or Kingdom Hearts, you got to get that stuff up immediately. And so I'd be like running to the press room, writing as fast as I can, being like, I don't even know if this is any good. I just got to post it and pray to that it's not completely typo written. And like, you know, obviously we have people look stuff over, but it's so hard with those shows. And then just to have those down times and reliefs where you just grab a burger and a beer and it's like, breathe now. And those are when you have, I think, sometimes the most interesting conversations just because you're so tired and your defenses are just like, whatever, I'm not going to hold back now.
Right. As you shouldn't. Where is Tack's final question? He knows, but he wants the community to know.
Oh,
Where
no.
does K-Star come from? The nickname.
Yeah. Yes. Very okay. So my whole life I've liked stars. Just something since I was very young. And then I also am a big fan of Kirby Star. And so when I was, you know, making my Twitter handle, I wasn't even thinking about like it was very early on in Twitter. So I like we all in the AOL, oh god, I'm aging myself, but AIM days, like
Yeah.
had the numbers attached. Didn't think anything. If I had to do it over, I wouldn't have the numbers attached. But I couldn't just get K-Star. And I was like, why are people stealing my name? Like
Right,
that's my
yeah.
thing. But apparently other people have thought of that idea, but like it just kind of stuck because it was my Twitter handle. And so people just started calling me K-Star. And like I said, it came from having those two different loves.
Okay. Cool. Very nice. I think the perfect question around this out is, what is your favorite cover story you ever worked on?
Oh man, don't make me choose between my babies.
You
here.
said
Come on in.
you're letting it all out, so we might as well do
It's
it.
Horizon Zero Dawn, just because I got to go to Amsterdam for that, and that was one where, you know, think about it. Guerrilla Games they took a huge leap, and nobody knew what to expect. Like the Killzone series, they're making like an action RPG. What? And I just remember walking in the studio and like you'd see all the Killzone stuff, but there'd be like Aloy stuff kind of like coming out and jumping, you know, becoming more and more prominent, like taking over. And then you talk to the team and their excitement for doing something different was just so palpable, and I really enjoyed breaking. And then to see the game come out and be the success that it was, I think also was just like good. I thought what I saw was good, and like I wanted to, and it became, like I said, I really love Aloy, and I loved obviously their follow up this year with Forbidden West, and so I think that goes hands down as probably my favorite cover story.
Hands down. Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Cool.
I didn't write the Final Fantasy one. Remember, Joe Juba did. That would be like coming second, just because getting to interview so much of the team and get an insight into that process. Another one where they, that game was not in the best place. It had multiple delays, and just seeing how they really rallied around Tabata at the time, who doesn't work there anymore, sadly, but and brought that out. And we're trying new things that I think people didn't at the time realize was hard. Like Square was questioning if they could even do anything more like open. They're like, but we're so known for this linear design. We're so known in this way. And I think they were taking some chances that I think didn't entirely hit it out of the park, but I think they were building a foundation for the future that was very important to that series. And I think people will look back on that game and appreciate it more for like the steps that they had to take to get to where they are going. But hey, what do I know?
What I liked, I mean, you went on that trip with Joe, and I'm assuming Ben as well, Ben Hansen.
Yep.
So before that trip even happened, which I'm extremely jealous you guys got to go on that, Tabata actually came to our office and like showed us all like the re-reveal trailer that they were going to show off, and it was like not completely finished trailer and everything, and he was just such a nice guy, and like I was glad that like he came out and like did an interview with us, and then like he basically what he showed us was like, hey, let's do this cover story.
Fun story here for people. When Tabata came, it was in the middle of winter and the snow was so bad in Minnesota, and he's like, there's snow in Final Fantasy 15. I'm taking notes on this because this is not what our snow looks like, and we need to do it better.
Wow.
Also, another funny thing was, at the time, I was playing Trails of Cold Steel, and I just started geeking out to Tabata about how much I was enjoying it. And he's like, I've got to learn more about this Cold Steel game. And I was explaining how the social relationships are kind of what makes it, and the person, like, Tabata was a huge fan of RPGs, and I could just sit there and I would just list out a bunch of them and what I liked. He's a big Secret of Mana fan, and that was like close to my heart, and those are very cool conversations. Also, a fun story from that trip was the whole Final Fantasy team knew how much I loved ramen, so they put a map together of their favorite places so I could visit them when I went to Japan. So I got the best ramen ever. Because I mean, if you look at that game and you look at the food, it's got some good looking food in it, and you know that they really tested and went through the motions of finding the best. So yeah, those are just some cool stories and tidbits from that trip.
That's really cool. Do you still have that list, or do you
Yes,
remember it?
I do.
Okay.
I
need
kept
that
it.
list.
It's laminated, guys. That's how important it is to me. It's laminated.
That is the one Japanese food that like when I was in Tokyo, I didn't get like a good version of. I got kind of a mediocre ramen, but like I got amazing curry,
We have to
amazing
fix that.
yeah, amazing sashimi, everything. But like the ramen I got was very underwhelming.
When I go to Japan, my fiance gets so like annoyed with me because he's like, how many times are you gonna eat ramen already? Like, can we have something like, can you go somewhere different? And I'm like, look, I did the curry. I'm like, nothing tops ramen for me. It's just so delicious. And I think too, because anything we get in the States is not like what you get in Japan at all. Even the restaurants that, come over from there or, try to like mimic that. It just doesn't do it. It's all about that broth. It's just something about the different ways that they make it and how authentic it is. And it's so good. Okay, sorry. Now I went on a ramen rant, but that's how I want to end this anyways. It's not a K-Star podcast without ramen.
Without some ramen or some Kirby, yeah. What do you? I'm going to turn a question that you always ask devs on you, and that is, what do you think you did best at Game Informer? Like, what are you most proud of?
I think when I came into Game Informer, I knew that there was a chance for me to really champion RPGs in a way that hadn't been done before. I mean, they had JRPG fans like Joe and all them, but my goal was really to give Japanese developers more of a voice. I felt like things were changing a little bit with how they approached press, and they were being a little bit more open at the time, and I took that opportunity to sit down with more devs and have more, like, I don't want to use the word intimate conversations, but just like more conversations than the stock answers that you would get. Like, you know, the joke is always like, please enjoy this feature, or like you do a question and you get like a non-answer from them. And I really I just did that huge Naoki Yoshida profile where I just talked to him about his whole life, and he even said, he's like, I don't really get to do this. People just ask me about Final Fantasy 14 and I don't ever get to talk about myself. And I think that was a big thing for a lot of those developers, is people just knew them based on like the games that they made and, you know, a comment here and there. And like I said, doing that huge interview with Yoko Taro, who's just like more outspoken. I remember my first interview with Hideki Kamiya. I was so nervous because this was like really early in my career, and that was when he was really blocking everyone. And I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna be such a jerk to me if I ask the wrong question. And then he comes into the interview and he's like no, he's like, don't worry, I'm nervous too. And he was very, very nice, like in a way I was not expecting based on his online persona. And like, I don't know, there's so many of those types of interviews that I got to do through the years. And then also, I think in the mix of that, I was very passionate about being able to tell developers stories, as I was just saying, but like all around. So like, I love to kind of tap into the indie scene, and I wrote on a lot of different topics I feel that were important in the industry. One of my favorite features that I did was actually on video game addiction and where it was, and if it even existed. I was curious as myself, as someone who plays the game, what is that line between where it becomes an issue? And, you know, at the time, like, there's a lot of controversy because it was just being like put in the DSM and everything. And there, like I said, I talked to so many people for that. It's on GameInformer.com if you guys want to read it. But like, it was a really exhausting piece just because I felt like I had to make sure I was getting like every angle of the story and presenting it in a way that, you know, was taking myself out of the equation of someone who plays games. Like, I had to separate myself. Like, of course I want to say, no, it's not an issue, but for some people it is. Like, they can't put it down and it affects their lives. And then, like I said, where does that go? And then two, one of the things I really wanted to do was, you know, have a voice for women in gaming. And I did a big feature again on like what some of the things that were going on in the industry to help bring that to light. Because like, when I grew up, I didn't really see many women on stage at conferences, and it also made me realize that I needed to be more visible. Like, very early in my career, I kind of didn't want the spotlight. I always said I'm a writer, not a face. And that's just like because I love writing and all that. And I'm a shyer person actually than I think people ever realize. And I have a little anxiety here and there sometimes. So I was just like, I don't want to be but like, it is important to be visible, and it is important because then, you know, the whole, if she can see it, she can be it thing. And I totally respected talking to a huge amount of women developers and just women in the industry in general, and getting their perspectives. So those are some things that I'm really proud of. Sorry to ramble, but there's just like so many different sections of my career, because I was never just like, I am best known for being like a voice on RPGs, but I didn't just want to be that. I wanted to tap into issues in the industry. I wanted to like be able to really see like behind the scenes and the people who are making these games and what they were doing. And I wanted to bring that to other people. But I didn't want to ever be like, I wanted it to be about the people and the games and never about me. And I feel like I was able to achieve that in my career. And I'm just going to get a little misty eyed here, but like, that was really important to me.
For sure. Well, and to not be outdone, one of your last things you will ever do here for GI, you made Sora trend online with your
Sora, Kingdom Hearts, and Nomura trended on Twitter yesterday, and I cannot tell you the rush of like what that is as a bang to go out. If there's one game series that I feel like encapsulates my whole career at Game Informer, it is Kingdom Hearts and that passion and love. And I still, to this day, I remember when Kingdom Hearts 3 was first announced at that press conference. I was very reserved, like I said at this time, like very much like I'm serious, like I'm here to do journalism and I want to do a good job. And the reveal came on and I got up out of my seat and just started screaming. And then I started doing this dance, and Dan Reichert actually made a Vine out of it at the time, because it was like everybody was just like, what is going on with and Matt Miller still, like I said, he references it to this day because he's like, I'll never forget that reveal because I was waiting for it for so long. So yeah, we posted a big interview, one of my last interviews with Nomura. He doesn't do many, and he's not an easy interview, so I want to say that. Like, not because he's difficult, but because he's hard to get information out of and get him in the right, like, Kingdom Hearts is just hard to talk about, I think, and there's a lot of different things that he can't say or that he doesn't want to spoil, and it's not always easy. So that blew up online the other day, and I'm going out on a bang. I couldn't ask for a better interview to end my GI career on.
100%. Well, I speak for all of us when I can say we were lucky to get to spend some time with you and work with you, and we won't get too sappy right now because we have still much
A whole show
to
to
do.
go, and I'm already misty-eyed, so this is just great.
Yeah, I thought about saving this till the end, but here we are anyways. So K-Star, set the record straight. The tabloids keep bothering me. Everyone's keep like paparazzi. Where are you going? What's next?
Oh yeah, this is the exclusive, the first place I'm actually gonna say it. So through all my years in gaming, I think one of the most frustrating things for me has been that we get the games to review and the problems are already there, right? Like, they can't be fixed, and you're scoring based on what's there with the flaws. And so for the next chapter of my career, I was like, I want to be able to make a bigger difference earlier in the game development process. And how do I do that? So I am going to be a consultant at Aim Assist and help with games early. Like, I'm going to see them really early and be able to give them feedback, whether like what's working, what's not, what I think, they should be propping up, and just being able to do a lot of research and comment and on that stuff. So I will be more behind the scenes, but I think that's a good thing for all of the years I've played games. Adding like since I was 5 years old to these 10 years at Game Informer, I got a lot that I can offer in those terms. And so, yes, that is where I am going. And
wow.
Yeah, it's exciting. After doing something for 10 years, like your brain needs a little bit of a change, and I think that will be good for me, to think about stuff in a different way and actually be able to help make a difference, like I said earlier in the process.
For sure. Well, I can't wait to hear about it, and I'm very curious to once you get into the swing of things, hear how it goes. But K-Star, you're the best for a reason, and like I said, we're lucky to have worked with you. So, and you're always welcome on the GI show. You know that.
Oh,
I don't know if you can or not, but you're always welcome back. So, all right, let's talk about Summer Games Fest, shall we? Brian Shea, Marcus Stewart, Alex Van Aken.
Yes.
We shared some magical moments on this trip, as I'm writing the timestamp down. So, no E3
Paris
this year,
Baguette,
obviously.
man. Before we get started, sorry.
Shout
Paris Baguette.
all the way out to Paris Baguette. Oh my God. Went every day. So
Wow.
good.
It was most of
Every
my
day.
receipts as I was expensing. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
we went here a lot.
I had a croissant today. It wasn't the same.
One the same. One from
No.
Paris or LA, apparently.
No.
Yeah. No. So, E3 not doing something this year, this first year that people felt maybe a little bit more comfortable to do something in person. And Jeff Keighley set up a smaller industry event that we got to go to. And, it was my first trip. I know you guys had been on stuff before. Shay, I mean, what did you think? We can start there.
So I tweeted this that it was refreshing and it was a well-run event. It was a much smaller event than you would ever see at E3. I mean, since probably the '90s, there were only probably a handful of AAA games. Like you had Sonic Frontiers, you had Street Fighter 6. Cuphead's an indie game, but it almost has like that AAA clout to it,
Right.
like at this point, because it has
Mhm.
such like a huge following. But other than that, like it was, I mean, there's Outriders expansion,
Yep.
but like not a whole lot of like huge, like this is like a 100+ size development team games. So the indies really stole the show, I think. Like obviously everybody wanted to play Sonic, everybody wanted to play Street Fighter, but like the indies were like the things that I was like super excited to get my hands on, and there were just flashes of brilliance in almost all of them. Like I could say I played probably 80% of the games that were at Summer Game Fest. Like that was my entire second day, was just going around like basically game demos nonstop with like 30 minutes to eat lunch real quick.
Hmm.
And it was almost all of them were really, really fun. I had a great time with games like Time Flies, where you're like a little fly. You have 77 seconds space. Well, it depends on what country you choose. You have a different life expectancy of like where you're from. So like if you choose the US, it's like 77.6 seconds. If you choose like another country, it has a lot lower life expectancy. It's just whatever that country's life expectancy for a common housefly is. So you have a bucket list of things you want to do. So you fly around, and it's just a very simple game. Like it says like learn an instrument was on your bucket list. So you like find a guitar in this house, and you just like run the fly along it a few times to strum the guitar, and that completes that bucket list. And like the goal is to get through it all the time. But like there's all kinds of great games that I played while I was out there. Like I think it was called Animal Well, which is like a Metroidvania inspired by survival horror games. There was a game called Birth, where it's just like a really weird, like you're creating a creature to keep you company out of like meat and bones, basically. Like there's so many like creative ideas. And I played like EA Sports had their F1 2022 out there, and like I played like a VR version of that with like a whole like racing apparatus. It felt like just unbelievably immersive. Like so stuff like that was really fun. But I think my big takeaway was like it feels good to be back doing in-person events. It feels, I mean, I went to like Dice earlier, but that was more of like a kind of like meeting people and like kind of networking type of situation. I went to EA Sports earlier this month to play Madden, but like this was like the first, like it felt like the first event that I've been to since Gamescom 2019, where it was like an actual convention, seeing like just a bunch of people from different outlets, a bunch of different developers, and it felt really good. Like obviously there's always kind of like the specter of the pandemic in the back of your mind as you're going to
Right.
these things, but like it felt really good to be back. And in the event, you could tell that Jeff Keighley has taken notes from his decades of going to E3, and he knows like what media members want in an event and what they don't. And he cut out a lot of the fat, and he gave us a very well run event. Like there were some hitches for it being the first time that he's done an in-person event such as this, but also he learned from E3's mistakes, and I'm excited to see where it goes next year.
For sure. One game answer, Shay. Game of SGF for you.
Oh man, it's so difficult because it's indie games versus AAA games, but I'll probably say Street Fighter 6.
Okay. Cool. Marcus, how about you? How's your experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think Brian pretty much nailed what I was thinking of it too. Being used to going to E3s and PAXs, this was a lot more intimate by comparison, like being able to see the other side of the room when you walk in and also recognizing every face pretty much the second day. Uh, it was nice. It was a good, like, having not been able to do this for like 2 years now because of the pandemic, you could tell everyone was kind of like warming back up to the like, oh, we got to be social people again, talking to people. But it kind of made it easier because I was very much still in that place too of like, oh yeah, how do I not be an awkward human being in front of like Greg Miller?
Yeah.
So it was fun to just see people again that I haven't seen face to face in a long time, or meet people for the first time that I maybe had only interacted with online or listened to or watched or read their other content. Um, like Brian said, the games that were there were limited, but what was there was pretty fun. I played quite a bit of stuff too. I enjoyed pretty much everything I got my hands on. I'd say Street Fighter 6 probably my game of the show too. Like playing that against both of you, both the Alexes, was a great time. And yeah, it just felt good to work that muscle again of like covering a live event, especially because this is my first one doing it with Game Informer. So it was like, yeah, finally get to do it with you guys after doing it, as a freelancer for so long and with other like teams, I guess. But yeah, I think that it was well run. I'm looking forward to see if he does this again next year, what it looks like, because I think this is a really good start. So yeah, I'd say thumbs up all around for the most part,
To give a little bit of diversity in our game of the show, I'll change my answer and say Metal Hellsinger.
Okay, there you go. I didn't even see that on this. I saw like the trailer going. Where was it on the floor?
It was
like
around
in
one of the corners.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. I feel like the whole right side of the thing I barely even touch, but
Yeah, they wouldn't let you over there.
yeah, that's fair. I just couldn't fit. VA, how about you?
I had a great time. I'm still recovering.
You seem tired
wiped.
still. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just been, you get back and then we've just been working, and it's been like we've had multiple reviews going up this week.
Yeah,
it's just
I felt that too. So
today's the first day I feel like a human. Like yesterday and
don't.
Monday, and yeah, I was completely wiped.
Anytime I sit down or for like a period of time without anything that I'm doing, I just fall asleep on accident. So I'm still pretty wiped, and I feel bad because it's Kim's last show, and I'm just like over here like I'm living. I'm
Don't
surviving.
worry, that's the story of my life, and I wasn't even at the convention.
But no, I had a really great time. It was a blast seeing most of the people there. Some people I'd say it wasn't a blast scene, but that's any event.
Marcus is right there. I don't know why you throw him under the bus like that.
I'm
it's
sorry.
because I beat him in Street Fighter.
Yeah. It was a good time. I loved hanging out with people afterwards, and it was great that it seemed like most everyone there was really aware of like safety, and a lot of people weren't wearing masks, and even when they weren't, it was like it still felt like people were aware, and fingers crossed nobody gets sick from this event. We'll see, but it was really well run. Our hotel was not very well run, but that's another story. But no, it was a really great time. My game of the show is Street Fighter 6, but follow up, runner up, Schlim, the shadow hopping game. If people were wanting to know
I
how
think
to
there's
spell
an
that,
L in that name, is there?
there isn't, but that's how you pronounce it. It's Dutch. Schim is how you spell it, and it's pronounced Schlim. As somebody who is Dutch himself.
Oh, okay.
I'm not Dutch. I was adopted. My grandpa was adopted, but my name's Dutch, and I looked it up on YouTube, and the developers called it that.
You're Dutch Vanderlyn? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, Dutch Vanderlyn.
Okay.
So yeah, SGF was a lot of fun. It felt great. It was weird working for I mean, I've been to plenty of events, but never like an E3 event. The biggest I've ever been to is like PAX's, And while I used to help run a website and I was very serious about getting stuff up, it's weird doing it for a job, because you're like, I'm no longer like enthusiast. It's like, okay, I've got things to do. It's just a different feeling, but it was a lot of fun, and I'm very happy to have been able to go. It was also just great meeting Marcus in person. Like, we really hit it off.
For real. Like,
it was.
I was gonna say it was great because Brian and I have met before. Like, he was here for EA, and when I was an intern at GI, but I had met the Alexes, so it was great. Spending so much time with you guys and laughing way too hard.
Yeah, we laughed a lot. It was awesome.
Turns out Marcus is even cooler in person.
Like, dead ass. That's not even like, we're not even joking. Like, he's great.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And he surprised Glenn Schofield by how tall he is.
That is a quote, Glenn Schofield, who is a tall man himself.
Yes, he's not short by any stretch.
No, he's intimidating. He walked up, and the first words out of his mouth were, "Nice to meet you, Marcus. Wow, you're tall."
Then he saw Alex Static, and he ran for his life.
That's why I never got to meet him, actually, which is my regret of the show. Y'all have games of the show. I have the one regret of the show is not meeting Glenn. So maybe next time. But I just echoing everything everyone has already said. it was. I feel like I've had a lot of the Game Informer dream over my like 2 years, or almost 3 years here, right? Where it's like getting to review games and like previewing stuff, and but I was always missing the trip, right? I was always missing the cover trip or the convention trip, right? And I finally got to do it now, and it was glorious. Like meeting the people. I know I don't show it all the time. I was nervous as hell to meet devs, but also like fellow journalists and stuff like that, and content creators, and everyone was very kind and warm and welcoming, and that made things even easier. It was cool to play the games, obviously, but I think it's the people that I really like valued meeting, and it was amazing to do podcasts in person. Like just the energy, and I hope the energy's still good. Like, don't get me wrong here, but like, damn, like it was so fun to just be in the room together and BS about Justin Bieber lyrics, and make make other people
That was
learn
not
how
what
weird
I was
we are.
expecting to hear from you, by the way.
Right.
Neither were Tamora and Lucy.
Yo, when you went straight in, I was like, "What is this, man? These people are gonna leave, and they're never gonna come back."
I had to,
Yeah.
what is it? Healing by fire, cleansing by fire. I don't know, whatever the term is.
Trial by fire.
Trial by fire. There you go.
But some of those work too. Yeah.
To that point, Alex, I think it's worth pointing out one thing I missed about doing these trips is that as tiring as it can be, it's also very invigorating, because it is when you're around so many people that are as passionate about this medium as you are, and getting to see devs in person and play games and just being in that atmosphere, it recharges you, and it kind of like restores. You're like, oh yeah, that's why I do this stuff. Like,
especially after we've been at home for so long, like it's almost like a reminder of like, oh yeah, these are like the people that I actually interact with on the other side of the screen. They're real people, and like, yeah, this is why I do what I do.
Right. Yeah, it was special. It's something I'm always going to remember. I hope you guys like the content. Like, it was a lot of fun. My game of the show is Cuphead Delicious Last Course. Was a fan of the first game. The DLC looks like it's hitting everything. I did not beat the demo though. That it's going to haunt me for quite some time.
Yeah,
it was
really embarrassing that you didn't beat
this
it.
far. Literally, the entire show floor was watching me. I had one shot and I blew it, and now I'm a pariah. What are you gonna do?
You're just lucky they didn't have the tutorial for you to play. It would have been over on social media.
It's twice you've made that joke. And then I think one of my favorite game related things was Marcus and I were playing Outriders, the DLC for it, and we were stuck on the fisherman who we talked about on the last show. But like, we both like, I was like, okay, I got to beat this. If Marcus is playing, like, I got the competitive side in me. And literally,
you didn't even
almost
want to play together. The dev's like, you guys can, because I'm there for an appointment. And Alex is just playing. The dev's like, you guys could team up, and Alex is like,
nah.
I have to beat him.
Yeah, I knew what was coming for me in Street Fighter, so I needed to do something about that. But literally, we beat it within 15 seconds of one another.
Not even that. It was like when he dropped, I looked at you, and you had to like. I was like, did we just beat? Because I was about to declare victory, and then I see you like, yeah. We're like, did we beat the boss at the same time?
Yeah, and we did. And that's when we became, more than, I don't know. You're
gonna say more than friends. You're totally gonna say that.
I lost my train, but yeah, it's 100% where
we
I'm
locked
going.
eyes.
Yeah.
We became Outriders. That's what the name actually means.
Right.
People that beat bosses really well.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a great week. We still have a little bit more content coming from it, so be sure to keep
a little
it
bit.
a lot.
A lot of bit.
Man, we got so much stuff though.
I'm
like,
looking at my list.
I'm excited for our Street Fighter competition to go up.
Yeah, where I absolutely
and then also our
body you
visit
in
to
it.
the Requiem Cafe
That's
out
right.
in Anaheim.
Yep.
That was fun.
Yeah, that's right.
So we went and visited a cafe that is like themed after like video games and fantasy and everything. And like we went there because they were having a Persona 25th anniversary theme. So we went out there, took a field trip, and I got a Joker themed drink. And was it you, Marcus, or was it Alex Van Aken that got the Philemon?
I did, yeah.
Alex, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we got Persona themed drinks. I mean, it was really nothing based on Persona aside from the name, but they were good. And then we sat on like the Velvet Room couch, which was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Did you say Philemon?
Philemon?
Is it not filet mignon?
Not the drink.
It's not a filet
mignon. We're talking about a drink.
I like that's
Apologies.
your one contribution to this segment.
Has Blake said anything this entire
No,
show yet?
that was the first thing.
I wasn't at Summer Games Fest. What do you want from me?
Nor do you know who Kim is.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I couldn't tell if he was gonna unleash demon mode there. Yep, he's gone. We've lost him.
Reagan is now our guest.
Reagan's there. Reagan, come here. Hey, girl.
She was barking earlier.
Yeah, I heard her. She's looking at Blake now. Brian Shea, we got to drop you off at daycare. It sounds like.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Yeah.
But Kim, it was an honor and a pleasure working with you. I still remember the day that you announced that you joined Game Informer, and immediately I followed you, and then you followed me back, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever that somebody from Game Informer had followed me back.
I didn't know that.
So, and it's been amazing working with you. For me, it's been 7.5 years. For you, it's been a decade. But I consider you a very close friend. Pretty much, basically the sister I never had. So it's
Aw,
sad to see you go, but I know you're really excited about this new opportunity, and I know that we'll stay in touch.
for sure.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Alex.
Yeah, thanks for being here. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Game Informer Show. It's time to get into the topic of the show. We're going to be talking about all of the news from Microsoft's Xbox Bethesda showcase. Not all the news, the big highlights. You can go and watch our reactions, the archive of the stream. But yeah, we got a lot of news this week. I think number one, we'll start off with the, you guys cool if we do Xbox first?
Yeah.
I'd
Awesome.
encourage it.
What? We
So-
didn't talk about that before we started recording.
Starting off strong, we got a look at Redfall, some actual gameplay.
Hell yeah.
I y'all know me. I love Arcane. I was curious what this was going to look like when they first announced it. We finally got gameplay this past week, and that game looks pretty cool. Arcane, of course, creators of Deathloop, Dishonored. Redfall is their upcoming 4-player action game, 4-player shooter. And yeah, this is written by one Marcus Stewart. Marcus, you wrote, quote, "The trailer sets the table for the adventure, which unfolds on the island of Redfall, Massachusetts." See, I didn't realize it was an island. I just learned something. The idyllic town falls apart when residents disappear, and worse, become vampires. If that's not enough, some survivors have taken to worshiping these night creatures as deranged cultists. Up to 4 players can team up as a band of survivors who must fight back and escape Redfall with their lives intact. The crew consists of protagonist Layla, who wields telekinesis, the sniper Jacob, the engineer Remy, with a cute robot companion in tow, and cryptid hunter Devender. The gameplay trailer shows how these 4 combine their abilities to combat hordes of undead, such as Layla creating a telekinetic elevator to launch an ally Skyborn. Yeah, have we all watched the trailer here? Because it looks freaking sick. I think my biggest takeaway was Pancake's in the shot. Hello, Pancake. My biggest takeaway was, I mean, seems like they obviously shared notes with what they learned on Deathloop, just like in the way that their reload animations, the way that the guns work and appear, and the kind of game feel, screen shake, all that associated with shooting guns. It really is reminiscent of Deathloop, and I think that's a really strong thing. I think that's a great thing to pull inspiration from, because yeah, this game looks rad. Alex, what do you think?
I definitely, Arcane is a relatively new studio to me, in that Deathloop is the only game that I've actually beaten from them. So I was like, I knew their pedigree, right? I was excited by the potential of it, but it was like, okay, I'll see this when I see this, and like it'll be cool and just kind of live my life. But I am so happy to say that I'm really, really hyped for this game now. Like the shooting looks amazing, like VA said. The Deathloop animations and like the kinetic energy of that game is definitely present in this, and that's exciting to me as someone who just played that, right? I love this setting. I know we're getting a lot of vampires and stuff like that, but like I feel like it works really well for this setting, and I'm excited to experience a vampire story in that way. You said it on the stream, Alex, but I wasn't sure, but I read an IGN article today, and they said it's open world technically. So, and learning about how they're like trying to balance the open world of this town, when usually, you know, Arcane's not having to deal with that as much. Like, that's going to be very interesting, and I'm excited that it sounds like whether it's single player or co-op, you're going to get a good story out of this. And no, I'm into it. I'm not into. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you finish your thought.
Just the one red flag that I saw that someone shared in our Discord is that it sounds like campaign progression is tied to being the host. So if you're not hosting a match, your progress goes away, and I hate that, and I don't think we should have that in games at all anymore.
Yeah, Dying Light 2 kind of did that too, didn't they? Like,
yeah,
you didn't get story. You kept loot, but your
Mhm.
story progress didn't carry.
Right.
Which made sense, at least in that game, because it's a choice-driven game. So if your friends make a dumb decision that you don't want poisoning your game, I can see why they would do that.
Yeah.
But
so that's the only red flag I saw. Otherwise, I'm all in on it, and that's definitely one of my most anticipated for next year for sure.
So also a big differentiator with this game is it's Arcane's first true multiplayer game. I know Deathloop had, you know, asymmetrical multiplayer options with Colt and
Juliana.
yeah. But this is like their first proper co-op game that I know of.
Well, they had one that got canceled pretty famously, which they seem to have spent the last 20 years just like trying to remake in various forms, which I think is
what was
funny.
that game called? Not
The Crossing.
Yeah, The Crossing. This is the first one that's gonna hopefully see the light of day.
We'll see.
And that's very exciting to see
Oh.
how that differs from their single player focused catalog. And also just like I'm very curious on like what sort of immersive sim elements they're going to introduce into this game, how that might work in a co-op setting. I know this is definitely more of a. I feel like this on the outside looks like the least risky game they've made, and the most safe game they've made, which I'm not totally upset about, because I think Arcane takes a lot of risks and they make a lot of weird games, and I'm excited to see how they can introduce that weirdness into a more traditional genre, right? And yeah, I don't know. It should be cool, I hope. So we'll see. But Blake, what do you think? I know you're a big Arcane fan as well.
Yeah, if you picked 5 words to describe an Arcane game that I wouldn't want to play, it's this one. It's just like online kinetic multiplayer stuff like that. I just like I want to be excited for it. I'm just not. You know, it's like that's not what I value in Arcane games. And like as a massive fan of Arcane games, who like when they announce a new one, that's usually like top of my list of games I want to play.
Yeah.
This one like falls completely flat for me. But by virtue of my job, I will play it and I'll make a, you know, more informed evaluation then. But unfortunately, this doesn't do it for me. I don't like quippy games. I don't really like co-op.
There were so many quips.
Things.
There was a lot
quippy game. You just played Neon White.
And Deathloop too.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, fair is fair. Yeah.
Not for me.
Fair. Kim, what do you think?
Sorry, I'm getting accosted by a cat. I actually like really got excited after this trailer. You know, based on the premise, as we were talking, like it doesn't sound that exciting. Just because it's like, oh, you know, I've seen this before. But then, like when I was watching it, I don't know, did anyone else get like this cool, like kind of Left 4 Dead vibe of like I'm gonna play this game with my friends and it's gonna be different, like, you know, just that fun part of teaming up with your friends and being able to go and play a game like this. I really could see myself diving into it. And the fact that it is Arcane and they are so good at what they do, especially with giving you like interesting powers and stuff, like I feel it's very promising. So like I said, the trailer made me even more excited because I thought the trailer looked very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Marcus. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, because I love Arcane too. And I'm probably in the middle of you guys of like super excitement and then like where Blake is. But I think what is keeping me interested is knowing that Arcane is really good at like mixing things up. Because before this, like Deathloop was definitely their most like quote unquote mainstream game. and even they found a way to do some really unique things with that formula. So like with something like this, we're like, okay, yeah, this is more or less Left 4 Dead, but with vampires, and we've gotten that a lot recently. Like we got Back 4 Blood last year, which I'm kind of burnt out on, but I'm kind of trusting them. Like I'm pretty confident they will find a really cool hook or different ways to mix that formula up. Because even that trailer, like the trailer, I thought looked pretty fun. That telekinetic elevator, like I called that out for a reason in my article. It's like that was one thing I was like, oh, that's kind of awesome.
Well, they do level design so well, so I'm
Yeah.
curious how, like I said, these maps will play out and what they can
Yeah.
bring to the table in like that big co-op setting. That if that has the same creativity that we've come to know and love about them, I think, it could put a different spin on it and also make it more engaging than some of the more recent games that we've played that have kind of taken on this formula. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm most interested in seeing and figuring out. Sorry, cat distracting me again. He's gonna fall.
And to that point, Cam, I think I've realized that a lot of like, as much as I was excited for them and I did enjoy them to an extent, games like Back 4 Blood, there's been several recently that my mind is blanking on. I'm sorry.
Like
I'm
World War
Evolve.
Z.
Yeah,
Or
that
well,
alien
yeah.
game.
Yeah.
I've got SGF brain right
Vermintide
now.
1 and 2. Yeah.
The thing that I think a lot of those games fall short on, the more I think about it, is level design. Because I think I look back at Left 4 Dead with these rose tinted glasses. I
Yep.
mean, a lot of great levels, a lot of great set pieces, but that was a game designed in 2007.
Right at the time, yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like that torch hasn't really been carried much further with these newer iterations that are inspired by Left 4 Dead. They're very much like not a ton of mobility, very much like corridor, closets on the side of corridor, choke points, safe house. And I think to see a game like Redfall, which Alex, you said is allegedly open world-ish,
I can find the article, but yeah.
regardless of how it's set up, I think Arcane's strongest part, like their pedigree is, like Riam said, creating interesting levels that have winding routes and secret paths and like really cool places to explore and kind of manipulate. And I think you pair that with this sort of game, I'm eager to see if they can kind of break through that barrier that I have felt that I've kind of run up against with recent releases like Back 4 Blood. Again, they're enjoyable for what they are, but I always kind of feel like they're lacking something. And the more I think about it, I think it is that the way that you move about the map and stuff.
I agree with that. I also agree with the fact that I think Left 4 Dead, what is so fantastic about those games is its sense of place and being lived in, right? And it feels like a lot of people are chasing that. Whereas I feel like Redfall will obviously be chasing that too. That's like, the environmental storytelling in that game was fantastic, when it came out. And so having, a little bit different setting, right? It's not zombies, it's vampires, and the integration of those powers and stuff like that could be interesting. And Deathloop's writing was fantastic, and I know it's different studios within, right? But like I'm hoping that carries over. But just real quick before we get off this is from Kat Bailey, who I got to meet briefly at SGF. Shout out to Kat. She writes, Arcane Austin has a lot of experience open-ended gameplay design, but when it comes to designing Redfall's open world, the famed studio behind Prey had a unique problem. Redfall's open world was actually a bit too open. It was like there wasn't enough blocking you or challenging you, but it's very, very open rooftops and alleys and streets of this small town, Redfall, Massachusetts, which is like a fishing community, a tourist community. One thing that we do in terms of that gating pretty heavily is we divided the world into 2 districts. District 1 is the first half of the missions, and it's the downtown part of Redfall, while District 2 is more rural. It's farms, lighthouses, churches, things like that. So it sounds like contained open world almost.
Yeah.
So, which I'm all here for. I think open worlds are too big as it is now. So
that just sounds like all their other games, which is not a knock against it. Like
Yeah,
they
great.
do. That sounds like Dishonored 1, 2, and Deathloop. So that's cool.
Yeah, true. I'm with it. So yeah, very excited.
Cool. Up Up next on our big news, I just want to give a shout out to High on Life,
Looks
the
so
new
good.
Squanch Games game.
What a name.
Yeah, what a name.
Is that the Rick and Morty game?
Yeah, with
Okay.
the
Basically.
FPS Rick and Morty. I
Mhm.
just think that their production value has skyrocketed since their last release. I was blown away. And I just want to see more from that studio. I'm worried that maybe like that their comedy might get a little long in the tooth if like they're just producing, Rick and Morty style games. But yeah, we'll see. But I just wanted to give that a shout out. But next on our list to talk about from the Xbox Game Showcase is Starfield. We got our first gameplay showing off, massive scale. They've talked about over 1,000 planets, which I'm worried about.
Me too.
The ability to build your own spaceships, and a lot of No Man's Sky influences. Yeah, this is from Reiner. He wrote it up. I mean, honestly, I don't even have to read this because I took my own copious notes as we were going through the.
Are
I
you
was just
saying
kind of-
you're a better writer than Reiner? Is that what you're
That's
saying?
exactly what I'm saying, Alex.
Oh no, you're fired
yeah,
now.
I said it here first.
But does it ever worry anybody when like a game like Starfield in particular, to me, my worry is like it feels like they're trying to do too much. And when there's too much going on, and especially like that 1,000 planets, okay, how interesting are all these planets going to be explored? Is it going to be a bunch of empty space? Are there going to be engaging areas, cool things to do within each of them? I worry sometimes when developers, and a lot with AAA, I think in this current generation that we're in, it's just like, let's go as big as we can. But that doesn't always mean it's like as exciting as it can be for the whole ride. And that is my one big worry with Starfield. Although like, I think it's cool, the concept, even though it is very No Man's Sky feel to it. But yeah, that has me a little concerned.
I guess
Well-
I'm less worried because it's like, yeah, they might be doing too much, but this is also a studio that literally all they do are games that are too much. Like that is kind of their bread and
That
butter.
end up really glitchy for a long
True.
time before.
Yeah, it's like generally that works out
Sorry,
for them.
I
like
had to
they're-
say it.
No, you're not wrong. That's absolutely
Go anywhere. Do
Right.
anything.
That's why I'm glad
Yeah.
that they did the
Glitch
delay that they
anywhere.
did, because they probably realized like, hey, we're gonna get a lot of criticism if there are so many bugs, but I still think you are gonna run into glitches and bugs with something as big as this.
I hope one planet is just like a disaster. Like for some reason, all the bugs are localized on one planet. Like you just go there and it's just like
They
you can
should
see
do that as
through
like a
the-
shout out to their past. Like,
Yeah,
this
it's
is
just
how they
this-
used to be. Now visit all the rest, and they're wonderful.
skybox is falling apart, like the atmosphere is collapsing, just all kinds of nonsense going on there.
Sorry,
Yeah.
AVA, I didn't mean to
Yeah, I'm
No,
sorry.
you're fine.
interrupt your but it's just like something that as you were talking again just reminded me of like, oh boy.
I
Here we
also
go.
wondered if maybe like somehow it kind of runs up against what they were saying about being able to explore every planet.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be cool if you had like a few planets like that,
Mhm.
and then maybe like those extra planets were like, oh, there's a side quest on this planet,
Yeah.
and that's why you're going there, and then you're on to the next one. But I guess we'll see.
Because these are all I'm sorry, they know that they're using procedural generation, which they do use for all their games to a degree. But from my understanding, it sounded like the planets themselves are handcrafted. It's not like No Man's Sky where like it's making every planet
correct.
Mm.
too.
No,
right?
I
So-
think it's a combination. Some are
Okay.
Yeah,
handcrafted,
yeah.
some are procedurally generated.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
I imagine the main path is all obviously
Handcrafted planets.
handcrafted. Yeah.
Right. I definitely think focusing on the 1,000, I get it. Like I am the one of the main people who complains about open worlds being too open. I have this sense of like wonder with it though too,
Mhm.
where it's like I think some of the best parts of something like old Bethesda games or like Witcher, right, is just stumbling upon this completely random moment that is you just didn't expect, and you go and have have like this amazing side quest, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like this game is ripe for that. Because how cool would it be to just go to like, I don't know, the Andromeda Galaxy or something like that, and you're going to mine the specific mineral, and then you just discover this alien race that like has not been like talked about in the game or anything like that, and you just go through a quest line like that. That's kind of where my
Like,
head is
I mean,
at.
Elden Ring is full of that stuff. you know?
Right. Yeah.
And-
So I understand why people are saying, but like I'm also, I don't know. I play Bethesda Game Studios games differently, where I definitely don't venture off as much, so it doesn't like bother me if I still have the main checkpoint. Does that make sense? Like I don't
Yeah.
know. So.
I will say it was like watching that gameplay footage. It was like, okay, this looks nice, and like this, like just fidelity wise, I can definitely see an improvement from like their old engine stuff, like in the animations and in the characters. So that was nice to see. Man, it feels like I just couldn't help but think that, like, in addition to No Man's Sky, that like the Outer Worlds as well. They're like, oh man, those games kind of ate this game's lunch a little bit. Like, I'm seeing stuff that I've already played through between those two games of like Fallout and space, more or less. So
But
that
this will be
sort,
bigger.
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, it'll be much bigger than Outer Worlds was intentionally a much smaller
Well,
game,
yeah.
which kind of worked in its favor, honestly. But
Mhm.
so yeah, there was parts where there wasn't enough moments where I felt truly like, whoa, okay, like I was missing that X factor, I guess, like that intangible X factor that would send it over the edge. I'm gonna play it because I love Bethesda
Yeah.
games. I feel like it's been a while since I've really found myself like lost in them because
Mhm.
like I thought Fallout 4 was just okay. But I think the last, like, I'm chasing that Skyrim high. Like Skyrim, I
Yeah.
think was the last game I played where I was absolutely just 100% like obsessed with it.
Right. Yeah.
And I haven't had that since then. And I'm hoping this is that. But just from what I've seen so far, it's like, oh, this looks fine, and I'm excited to see these different planets, especially if it is more of a, I guess, handcrafted No Man's Sky. Because No
Mhm.
Man's Sky had a lot of those fun discovery moments, but it was also
Right.
kind of light on stuff, at least early on.
Right.
So
It's funny doing a live stream and like being in your own bubble
Mhm.
and like and then coming out of that and seeing like everyone else's reaction and stuff like that, because I think I was definitely more taken with what I saw. I know I was more taken with what I saw than you, Marcus, just because like I'm definitely more of a sci-fi person than a high fantasy one. So
Right.
like I'm with you. Fallout 4, not great. It was just
yeah,
I
don't
didn't.
think it was fine. It was okay.
It's hard
Yeah.
coming off what it was coming off, but it felt derivative of what had came before,
Right.
which is hard when you're in you're trying to make sequel after sequel that are living up to these expectations. So the fact that it is kind of like Fallout or Elder Scrolls in space has me jacked, frankly, because it's a genre that I like more than what I said before. And also there's just this sense of hope and wonder to it that I found myself really enjoying, just because I feel like
like
a lot of
tonally.
like the horn, like this. I said on stream with Van Aken, I was like, this score already is hitting that like 50s, 60s golden age sci-fi where it is like
Space race.
it's space is exciting. It's not douchebags trying to colonize Mars. You know what I mean? Like for real. Like and I feel like our media has represented that over the last couple of years too. With like, I feel like the cyberpunk genre has gotten really huge, and I like cyberpunk, but it is very bleak and nihilistic. And this just felt like space is like exciting again, and it's meant to be explored. And I'm sure there's gonna be some dark stuff, because there always is, right? But it has this sense of wonder that I was really enjoying
Yeah,
from
I
it.
agree with that.
Let's be fair too, when we're watching this footage and the trailers, like, it's not going to convey totally what it's like to be in that world and what you're going to encounter. And so for me, it really is like you're just getting a glimpse, but the actual experience that's going to matter is your time meaningful there? Is there, engaging things to do? Am I going to meet interesting people?
Right.
I trust them on some of those things, but I just don't know if sometimes you're sacrificing a little bit of stuff that could be more contained and well done for like a size and scope that you just want to be able to be like, oh, because let's face it, the bigger you go with the game, the harder it is to keep everything as interesting
Yeah.
as the last. So that's my only worry. But yeah, as I say, as we watch this stuff, we don't know what it's actually. It can't convey the sense of actually being in the world and what's going to be there, no matter what you see. And that will be, I think, the true telling point when people finally are able to play the game, is if does that live up to, what we want from a game out of Bethesda. And I mean, Bethesda makes some pretty damn good games, so
They can, yeah.
they
Sure.
can, and they can also not. So I would bet on them, though, opposed to them. Like I said, the only thing that makes me a little nervous is like their history with glitches and having
Right.
something this big. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah, I think the building your own starships and how the different parts affects the stats of the ship more so than just it's not just cosmetic. That seems cool. I'm very curious about base building because that's primarily what I did in Fallout 4 was base building, and it was kind of like a wet fart at the end of it. I spent like 25 hours building up my base.
God,
Loved
that
it.
phrase never feels
Yeah.
good when people
You-
say it. I
Makes
just
me laugh every time. Gets
You
me
think there'll
every
be-
time.
You think there'd be an astronaut equivalent of the guy from 4 that kept telling you that all your like, hey, our settlements are being attacked. Can you help us? The Minutemen guy.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I barely ever. I don't think I ever got attacked actually in Fallout, and I was like, I
What?
just spent my entire time building this base, and I'm just dying to get invaded.
Huh, I felt like I had
And-
the opposite, where I felt like I kept putting up all the turrets and nothing worked. They just kept
Oh,
coming after me.
dude,
And I was like,
I've
why
got
am
to
I even
find my
making these?
video. I had it decked out, man, and I never got attacked once. I don't know if my
'cause
game was
they
bugged or
saw-
what.
They're smart. They're like, we don't want to touch that guy.
I had like
Picture Van Aken like making this elaborate, like
Oh,
being
for
like,
real.
"Oh, I'm gonna get this person here." Like, "Oh, I'm setting it," and then like nobody
crickets,
comes.
yeah.
I set up in Sanctuary. That was the first town, right?
Yeah.
Diablo.
And there's that bridge on the right that goes to the gas station where the power armor is. I had turned that entire bridge into like a giant mouth piece that had like all these turrets, and it fed into like this giant fortress. It was like 2-story, 3-story tall, like garrison out of like rusted metal.
Oh my God.
And oh, it was
No
so
one
cool.
came.
You know, most people
Never
No
got
one came to
attacked.
this party.
Yeah.
Most people put a troll at the bridge that just makes people
Yep.
answer a riddle to get
Yeah.
by.
Not me.
Not me. Yeah.
Yeah,
Blake, have
good
you
times.
said are you a Bethesda guy?
I've never played a single one of their games.
Okay, are you gonna play
Oh,
Starfield?
Really?
Starfield looks cool, I guess.
Okay. all
You
right.
know what it is? I think it's gonna happen is I'm gonna go through the 9 stages of being a potential Bethesda fan, where they release a new trailer. I'm like, it looks pretty cool. Game comes out and everybody's like, it's great, and I'm like, can't wait, and then I just never play it. That's happened with every single game. Like I remember when they announced Fallout 4, I was like, let's go. And then it came out and I just forgot to play it. The Starfield looks cool. I think the sound effects and the space battles are so cool because like
Yeah.
you have 2 options. You have the unrealistic option, which is there is sound,
No sound.
or the realistic option, no sound.
Yeah.
And they've kind of met in the middle where everything is like muffled. And I thought it was like such a cool touch. I thought that was like my favorite part of the whole trailer.
Yeah, I remember that. Blake, we need to do a video feature or a stream of you playing Skyrim for the first time. I would like to see that.
I would do it. I'll do
That'd
it.
be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I've
we
always
really
wanted to
can
play
actually-
their games. Like there are studios I see their games. I'm like, not for me. Bethesda games have seemed for me. I've just never played them. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right.
Maybe Starfield will be the first one.
Cool.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Well, that's supposed to come out in the next 365 days, apparently.
Less
As
than.
were all the games at Microsoft. I think
Wow.
it's not on our list, but the Kojima Xbox partnership is pretty interesting. Nothing to show of that yet. Early days, but they're working
I feel
together.
like fans wish this into existence. Like when all the rumors were going around, I was all like, "Nah, he wouldn't betray Sony like that." None of these betraying Sony. Don't get me wrong, but like
Yeah.
him and Sony are pretty tight.
Right.
And I'm like, this is just something like fans really want, but I don't. I even said it. I think on the predictions podcast is like, I just don't think it's happening. And then it happened. I was like, whoa, like this doesn't. It felt like a pipe dream, but it happened, and I'm excited because like I think it's great when developers get to approach different audiences, different systems, whatever. The more people who can play those types of games, the better, and the more that they have funding to help them make the games that they want, the better. So
Yeah, for sure.
He won't be using Decima engine, I don't believe.
He said he's working with Microsoft Cloud technology. It was the only thing he really said in the whole thing.
Yeah.
It was such a nothing announcement other than they're
Right.
together. Yeah.
But I'm be curious because he did that whole dog and pony show about finding an engine
Yeah.
settled with an engine by a company owned by PlayStation. And it's like, are they gonna license that out for a competitor funded game. I don't know.
Huh.
Is this game going to be on PlayStation? I don't know either. Did he say it was an exclusive for Xbox?
Seems like it would.
No.
I guess
Oh, well,
he
yeah,
did,
yeah.
but you would think
Yeah.
just because, like, why make a big deal of showing up there? Just to be
Yeah.
like, yeah, I got a game coming. It's like you've had games on Xbox before. It's not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, and why
It's
would
not new to you.
Xbox port him unless it was
Yeah.
some type of
Right.
exclusive?
If
is
if
Right.
why-
Starfield's
Or at least
exclusive,
a
this will
timed
be.
exclusive at the very least.
Yeah.
Which makes me think like Decima might not be made in that. I've never heard of like a PlayStation proprietary engine being used in an exclusive somewhere else. So I don't know.
I loved how they started this press conference and they're like, everything that we have here, you're going to be able to play within the next year.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then they did that announcement, which
You're like,
kind of like went, what? Like, I was
Right.
like, okay, I'm glad we just know to set the record straight, because there have been rumors about this that like, okay, there is something planned, but yeah, there was nothing there to really know or take away from it other than they are collaborating together.
That's a
I
good
was-
point.
I was thinking about this, like, because they did that whole thing where they're like, you'll be able to play all these games in a year. And it's like, no, we won't. Like, we won't.
Which
But,
games
Well,
do you think are
something will
slipping?
get delayed.
Which
something-
games do you
But-
think are slipping?
anyway, I don't know. I don't know. Like, it's just that I've covered this industry long enough to know.
Vin Diesel.
But it did make me wonder, like, okay, was the Kojima thing included in that? And what if he's making just like a 1 to 2 hour long thing for Xbox? You know what I'm saying?
Like a
Like,
movie? Yeah.
It's
um,
it's an
a
idea
movie
Xbox
or
game.
like, I
This
don't know,
makes
like,
cutscene.
I mean, like PT, not the greatest example, but for lack of a better one, was just like a little thing he directed. Obviously, it was for something bigger, but like, is he making something on that scale, like a little $15 thing where you play it for an hour or two and it's like, oh, wow, this is awesome. I wish more companies did that in general.
I mean, that's a good point, Kim. You bringing up in the beginning when they're like, yeah, everything you're going to play is going to be in the next year, because when I think of Hideo Kojima's new game, I always think, oh yeah, I'll be playing that within a year.
Yep. Next March, baby. I
I
think
mean, but that's what made me think is like, okay, is it going to be like a really short, truncated, little experiential type thing? That would be awesome. I would be super into that.
If
Right.
I've learned anything about Kojima, he's always the exception to the rule. That's all I'm
True.
saying.
that's true.
But
I do
Death
think-
Stranding didn't take like an excessive amount of time.
No.
No,
had,
it
like,
didn't
a
take as
fairly
long as-
standard
Yeah.
development process.
I do think it's smart messaging on Microsoft's part, mainly because even if you can say that now, right, all these games within a year, even if it's not fully true, they're still going to hit within 16, 18 months, right? But you kind of reset the clock for yourself now, because like, you know, I feel like the time frame's important in that too, because like so the presumption now is we just know what up to June 2023 is going to look like. That doesn't mean they don't have Gear 6 waiting for next year.
Mhm.
That doesn't mean Fable or Avowed aren't coming next year, right? It's just they're not talking about it yet. And then when they do finally talk about it, it's like, cool, instead of 6 years, you now have to wait 6 months. And I think that's really
Yeah.
smart on their part, even if Diablo 4 doesn't come out by May of 2023, which I do not think that is coming out.
I've
Also,
been-
thanks for reminding me that we're not getting Gear 6 within the next year.
I mean, you don't know. Like,
Well, no, Coalition's making a whole different thing
Yeah.
right now. Unless they have an A and B team, they've like announced their other game. They've showed a tech demo for it.
but
Yeah,
that
I
was just to
talked about
test
that, yeah.
Unreal, I thought.
No, they're making that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
like Gear 6 is not their next game, unless I'm wrong. You know, someone
I mean,
fact
they could
check
have
me, but I'm
multiple teams. A lot of
Yeah.
these studios do, but I'm thinking about this more and more because, you know, in the older era, I guess we'll call it, is we got game announcements and like they weren't coming for a long time, and we just were like, oh, cool. I like knowing that a game is being worked on. Like, I like that I know that, you know, the next Elder Scrolls is in development. But I also don't like these long waits, and this comes from a Kingdom Hearts fan, of just having something announced and then not knowing you're not going to play it anytime soon either. Like, I like this approach of being like, as you're saying, Alex, we see this, we know at least it'll come in the year, and if it doesn't, it's probably not going to get pushed back ginormously like
Right.
years. It's probably just going like, I do like that approach, but I also like to know, like I said, that some of my favorite series are, you know, like I like to know I'm probably not going to play, like I said, the new Dragon Age for a while, or another Mass Effect. But I like just knowing that, like, okay, they're being worked on. Rest assured, they're coming, and we'll show them to you when we have substantial stuff to show. I just like the messaging. I don't need a big flashy trailer. I don't need anything. Like, they can just announce it on a blog for all I care, just so I know. And then at the shows, really show something when you have it, so you can start getting feedback from like people too on like what's looking cool about the game, what fans' reservations and all that.
Right. I mean, that's what movies do, right? We've known Blade is coming for the last 3 years or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, we know a lot of the Star Wars stuff. Like, movies are just like, yep, of course the sequel's being worked on. Like, you're just not going to get the trailer for it for another 2 years or something like that. Like, it's why, not this is so random, but like the Barbie movie, right? Shout out Greta Gerwig. We're getting stills from that and images from that. It's still over a year away. It's like, what is taking so long in the Barbie movie?
The game industry has always been probably overly secretive, like too secretive for its own good.
To bring it full circle, wasn't it the Fallout 4 announcement that kind of bucked that trend of like, yeah, you can play this game in 9 years? Because that was like 6 months, right? From release.
That's why I was convinced that Starfield would make its date. Because I was like, because people were like, oh, they're not showing it. And I was like, oh, they're going to do the Fallout 4 thing where we don't see anything until E3 and then it comes out like 4 months later.
Yeah.
I thought so too. But
man.
Yeah.
Well, let's get into real quick the highlight from the Capcom showcase. We're not going to talk about Monster Hunter today, just for the sake of time, but we are going to talk about some Resident Evil.
Yeah.
So we haven't had Blake's reaction on the podcast yet to the Resident Evil 4 news about the remake coming. Blake, how you feeling?
You know what's funny is we all knew this was coming. Long rumored, often leaked Resident Evil 4 remake. Was not prepared for how genuinely excited I was going to be when they announced this. I became a freak for this. I was watching YouTube trailer breakdowns, like Easter eggs you missed, all of them garbage. It's just clickbait out the wazoo. It's a minefield out here.
Besides our
Resident
video,
Evil
right?
fan. Besides ours, people tried to come in the comments and be like, oh, Blake's wrong. That's actually Ada Wong in the beginning. It's not. It's Ashley Graham. If you're going to fact check me, get your facts straight. No, I was a total freak for this. I'm so excited. Actually, it sent me into a Resident Evil mood. I replayed a bunch of Resident Evil 2 remake. I went and bought I went and bought Resident Evil 3 remake. I never played it. That's a bad game, but I had a lot of fun playing it.
Yeah.
It's like, it felt like the video game equivalent of like a horror movie where you're like, it's still fun. It's still worth it. But man, I'm so excited. I think there's a lot of interesting things going on in that trailer. I have a lot of my own fan theories, which I don't know if I've ever had a fan theory in my life until now. But
looks good on you.
You wrote a fanfic.
This is a PG show. We can't talk about that.
Are you one of those weirdos that ships Leon and Ashley?
No, Leon and Louise. But no, it's awesome. They showed gameplay. I kind of wish they wouldn't have. It was just like, here's Leon walking for 10 seconds. It's like, I know what that looks like. You could have just
remastered walk.
You didn't have to do this whole build and be like, we're gonna show the gameplay, and it's like he just kind of walks for a second. They're like, wasn't that great? And it's like, it wasn't. I didn't need to see that, but the trailer looks awesome. It seems like they're kind of expanding the story to more coherently bridge the gap between Resident Evil 2 and 3, and kind of the explosion of Raccoon City, and why a cop that only worked one day on the job inexplicably became the president's bodyguard. I'm sure that'll still be nonsense, but it will be nice.
That's Resident Evil, though.
Yeah, it'll be nice.
Blake.
Yeah. It'll be nice for them to expand the nonsense.
Because the idea is that this remake of 4 it's a sequel to like Resident Evil 2 remake, right? Like the retelling of those two games. It's following that. It's not straight up.
Yeah, it's kind of like a new canon almost, or a new timeline. Yeah. And like Leon does directly address Resident Evil 2's events in the trailer. I hope they keep. It seems like they're playing it more straight laced, closer to just like a standard horror game, which I think is awesome. I wish the original Resident Evil 4 was a little scarier, but I hope they don't take out the weirdo in that game. Like if that big
giant
statue that chases you is not in the remake, I will tank its Metacritic score. I'll tell you that right now.
How-
Burners
can you
out,
im-
baby.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how, or even more terrifying, the regenerators are going to be in this
Oh,
game?
sure. Yeah, I
'Cause
was
to
thinking
me,
about
they are
that.
the scariest thing in regular 4.
Yeah, people always hate on the last third of Resident Evil 4, and forgetting that's where the regenerators are, which is like
They're
the best part of the
terrifying.
game. Yeah. But that's all I got on it, and I'm excited. March is feels like forever away.
Not too much longer. What do you got?
Like 8 months.
Yeah, maybe it is longer than I thought.
Yeah, they
Oh,
are doing
June.
really well with the cadence because that's always
Mhm.
been the same time frame for. I was gonna say just the remakes, but I think all the Resident Evil
Yeah.
games since 7 have all been like springtime. Like they've got that formula down. It seems.
March is like their month.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Here's the
Wow.
thing: I love Resident Evil. I'm glad that they're doing it. I'm almost always historically down on annualized series until they start doing Resident Evil every year, and I'm like, let's go. I'm a little freak for those games.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super psyched for this. Like 4. I think it's a surprise. 4 is a great game that is one of my favorite games, especially of its generation. So and I was one of the people that were like, I mean, it'd be cool if they did a remake, but 4 still holds up. I'd rather them
Mhm.
do maybe like Code Veronica or something. And
Mhm.
I hope they do go back and do that after this. But then you see it, and then you almost feel like you're eating your words a little
You're
bit.
like, I want it.
Yeah,
I
you're like,
want it.
okay. Yeah, you're kind
I
of like,
do.
okay, Capcom, you got me. But I think because that game has aged pretty well,
Mhm.
it makes me excited to see how they make it even better.
Mhm.
Because they don't really have to, at least I would assume they don't really have to touch it up nearly as much as 2 and 3. And like we were talking about the story stuff before, I'm curious to see how they mix it up. Because like seeing, because Ada was in that trailer from what I remember, right?
Yeah, she is.
So wondering if like, did they combine her separate side story from original 4? Did they just weave that as part of the main narrative now and just have you switch between the two?
I would assume so, because Ada is playable in Resident Evil 2 Remake, so there's some precedent of just like folding her in. I also think Ashley will be more expanded. She's playable in the original, but only very briefly. I think we'll get more time with her. And then I also think Louise is going to be playable. I think we're going to have 4 playable characters, and they're going to be the 4 central protagonists of the game. That's my fan theory. Capcom, let me know if I'm right.
4.
Yep.
Oh yeah, that's the 4. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm so excited to see how they address the actually stuff, like reworking that much, because I was like, this is like their redemption story almost of like we get to go back and make this better. I want to see like, do they just take that out entirely and just have like they like condense it somehow to like cutscenes of her falling around, but she's not there, or do they just rework it to where she's just a far more competent AI? I mean, they've got so many better examples in the time since then between like The Last of Us and like, maybe BioShock Infinite. So, but yeah, that might be the thing I'm most excited to see is how they redo and improve that section.
I think the GameCube demo, as we'll call it, is gonna be terrifying. It's like still really tense no matter how many times I play it. Like you make one wrong move in that opening village section and it's just game over for you. And I'm like, man, they're gonna modernize that and make it so much harder by like modern standards. It's gonna be the scariest thing I've ever played, probably since the last Resident Evil remake.
Have they ever, because I haven't played every re-release of Resident Evil 4, but you probably have, Blake, or most of them. Have they ever patched have you ever patched in the ability to move and shoot?
No. There might be like mods, but the only thing I can think of officially, and I've not played all of the weird ports of it, but the only one I can think of officially is the VR one that came out last year. You can move and shoot in that, and it makes that game like way cooler, but I think the fluidity of motion will not be the same in this remake, because in the VR one you almost feel like Bayonetta or John Wick the way you flow through these levels, and I cannot imagine that's how this remake's gonna play. But
well, I ask because it's like that has to be the case for this, right? Like there's no way they stick to that.
Yeah, I think Resident Evil's like long abandoned that ever since.
I mean, they abandoned it with 5.
No, 6.
Oh, 6 was the one. Yes, right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it didn't take that long for them because that's the other big thing that's going to make this difference, having to basically rework those encounters to accommodate for the fact that you're a lot more mobile.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because it's like, technically, I say as someone who's not a game developer, they don't have to remake things, I think, as hardcore as they had to with 2 and 3 just to facilitate the difference in gameplay and like camera position, because obviously Resident Evil 4 kind of pioneered what they had to remake in 2 and 3, or what the remake did in 2 and 3. So it'll be interesting to see like what is kept 1-to-1 and what is modernized or what's changed wholesale. I'm down for whatever, as long as they keep that big statue in it. That's the only thing I don't want changed. I love that big statue so much.
Well, real quick, we did get more news. Resident Evil Village Gold Edition is coming. It's bringing new story content, DLC from the perspective of Rose.
I'm so excited for that. Sorry.
I'm shocked that they're addressing that so soon. I thought that'd be RE9.
Right.
I thought it was wild they're remaking Rule of Rose.
Oh yeah, yes,
That really expensive PlayStation game that 5 people played.
I do.
The expansion is going to be called Shadows of Rose. Puts Rose in the lead for more of a mind, as Reiner puts it in the article, mind-bending journey of discovery. We're also getting a third-person mode for Resident Evil Village, which I might replay that in third person.
And Rose's story is exclusively in third.
Yeah.
Not going first person.
I missed that.
Yep. We're getting more additions to the shooty mode, mercenaries, new missions, playable characters. You're getting to get to play Chris Redfield, Lady D, Heisenberg.
Wait,
Yeah. You can play Lady Dimitrescu.
Oh,
and
wow.
as well as Alcina. So it's gonna be a time.
Can you play as that giant baby?
God, I hope not.
You know what
I hope so.
You know what was interesting about the Rule of Rose DLC was there's a quick shot of the Duke, and he appears to be a bad guy now. So I wonder what happened.
Persona mask on,
I wonder what happened in those last.
The heel turn finally happened that we kept was waiting for in Village and never came.
I'm very, very curious about that.
But is it? Yeah, because as they pointed out, it is like more a mental adventure. It sounded like she's like in her mind trying to like get rid of her powers. So is that just like a
Figment?
Because I was gonna ask, does she use a gun? Do you think, or does she just use her weird?
You see her; she has a gun in the trailer.
I haven't seen the trailer, by the way. I've only read just because I was not present for the showcase. I only read the articles, but okay. So
I'm excited to see Ethan's face finally. They've been teasing it for so long, you know.
He better have like the coolest facial features to make you go like, "Wow, what a reveal!" Like it better be like.
I want him to be hideous.
He's just a white guy.
He's not going to be a Chris or Leon. I'm just telling you.
He needs like a scar or something.
Look outside. You'll see plenty of the white guys walking around. Everyone's Ethan out there.
You may as well just blur him out anyway. Like every time you swing the camera, his face still blurred out. So that's just how he actually looks to people, and people just don't comment on it. They're just like, okay, this is what Mia kisses every night. Is this featureless man?
Did we bring up that they're putting it in VR as well?
No. Yeah.
PSVR 2.
And which one of you guys are going to play that?
I'd rather die.
Me.
Can we film Alex playing it?
Yes.
Yeah. I think we need to send to the hospital.
You've already beaten it. You know it's coming.
I don't want it. But that game, it still can be scary. Dude, no, like I genuinely could not.
I guess in VR.
Yeah.
But...
I think a better video would be me playing Biohazard because I've never played that game and that looks just mortifying.
You still have not played 7?
No.
Wow. You should play that in VR because you want to talk about an oppressive horror.
That's
game.
what I'm saying.
Like, Biohazard makes you feel bad.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to explain it. You play it and you feel bad.
Right.
You feel like that fight or flight of like, I cannot be in this house. I need to get out of here.
You know the scene in 7 where the guy is like in the interrogation room screaming, and you
Mhm.
feel just like the humanity has left this man. That's what it feels like to play parts of Resident
For
Evil
10
7.
hours. Yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
really great. I'm excited
time
to
Resident
put
Evil,
that
like,
on my face.
The
Yeah.
rest of the Resident Evils, even at their scariest, it's like fun scary. In 7, it's just like nihilistic how scary. Like,
Yeah, that should be the quote, by the way, Alex, for the VR. Just like, what? Put Resident Evil on your
Your
face.
face. Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
that is topic of the week, Alex. You want to take a quick break and come on back?
Sure. Let's do it. Welcome back to the GI Show. We actually have a playlist this week, which is the first time. It feels like in many shows, but that's because we did like 3 or 4 shows last week and into this week. So let's kick it off. And really great things to report on here. Marcus Stewart, you reviewed Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge for us. And tell me, my friend, how was it?
Man, you know, some games that you play, you can't even articulate how just like purely fun it is. Like you always try to find like there must be like a bit more artsy or profound way to describe the joy I'm feeling, but some games just like, nah, this is just fun. And that's all there is to it, right?
But
That
that's
is
all you want to hear, right? Is that a
Yeah.
game
exactly.
is fun.
Ideally, at least I hope so.
I play games to torture myself.
Well,
yeah, they're like
Resident Evil 7 Biohazard, apparently.
I
pure
like the
joy.
thrill of a scare. But yeah, no, I've been looking forward to this game, and us Turtle fans, Marcus did such a good job in his review, by the way, of just capturing, like, it's got the nostalgia, and you just made me so excited to play this. I can't even articulate it right now. I'm just like...
And it's I guess out today, as if you're listening to it, this
Wow.
podcast. And yeah, it is if you're not familiar, it is a 6-player co-op beat 'em up that is inspired by the 1987 TMNT cartoons specifically. So it's those like versions of the characters in terms of the art, and they even got the original voice actors for the Turtles
So
to
cool.
reprise their roles for this game. And it's basically a throwback to the glory days of Ninja Turtles games, of like whether it's the 1989 arcade game or Turtles in Time, Hyperstone Heist if you played on Genesis. And pretty much the premise for like developer tribute games and .emu, the mission statements like, what if we made a new one of those but like better? And that is exactly what they did. This game is an absolute blast to play, either by yourself or with if you can get a full party of 6 or 5, like, you know, we did here at Game Informer to help me out with the review, and we were just having just an absolute blast, just kicking some shell together.
It was so fun. I was sad we had to stop playing.
Well, you know, the game's still around. We can keep playing.
Nope,
together.
they cut us off. It's done.
They took our copies back. But yeah, it's just a very well made one of those. You know, it's not trying to reinvent the wheel. It knows what it is, and it just executes the basic beat 'em up idea really well. The combat feels great. Yes, it's simple in that you're mashing the same attack button to do combos, but they actually weave in a little bit of depth because you have these aerial attacks, you've got sliding attacks, you have a dodge, which is actually really crucial because there's a lot of shielded foes that you need to flip behind, and a lot of people are throwing projectiles and stuff, and it feels cool to just flip past something and then chain into like a sliding attack and immediately retaliate, and even having an instant recovery when you get knocked down. Like, this game's all about like keeping you in the action.
Are there items in the environment, like in the other games, that you can throw at other enemies and stuff?
Is there? You
Woo-hoo-hoo!
bet you're behind there is. There's
And
all kinds
how?
of like traps that like, and that's what it's cool about this game, because this game wants you to pay attention to the stages. One, because there's so many Easter eggs in terms of fan service. Like, you see little things, and there's like, especially if you're playing the story mode where they hide like hidden characters from that show that you'll find. It's like, oh, I broke down a door, and here's this character that I completely forgot existed because it's been so long since I watched that cartoon. But you're like, oh yeah, her. Wow, what a deep cut that is. But yeah, there's like fire hydrants you can break, and you know, the top will go flying and knock down 3 Foot Clan, and then the puddle that it creates, if people walk on it, they'll slip like bad guys. There's like cameras, like all kinds of stuff that you can hit and just, you know, knock over a bunch of dudes like bowling pins. It feels great. There's, you can throw people into the screen, which is, an old throwback, and throwing them into crates and other items. There's special attacks. There's different pizza power-ups. Like there's one that gives you
Yeah.
infinite special meters, so you can just spam your finisher for a few seconds. And the POW pizza, which does that spinning attack where you're just going around and you're just sending dudes flying. It's such a fun game. And this game, like I said, it's fun to play by yourself, but I recommend playing it with at least one other person, because that's where these games always shine, right? When you have like a party of friends and you're just like, yeah, let's just get in there and let's just clobber these foot soldiers, and you're arguing about who's going to be who, which, Donatello guy here.
Mikey.
Leo.
Mikey. Okay.
Shout out.
Blake,
See-
who are you? Who's your turtle?
Shredder.
Oh,
That tracks.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. Blake reminds me of a Casey Jones.
No,
Oh,
wait.
yeah.
Hold on. So wait, who's the mouse?
Splinter.
Splinter.
I'm
Master-
I'm a little rat.
Little rat boy. Yeah.
Why I
pretty cool.
perked up and have been so excited is 'cause, like, these games are so attached to my childhood. Like, I played the Nintendo Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with my friends, like, all the time. Like, that's what I grew up in. And then the arcades, when I'd go to the arcades, I always had to play the turtle games. I mean, me and my brothers were big Ninja Turtle fans, but like, just hearing you talk about this, like, my face is just beaming. I'm just so excited to play this game.
And it's a beefy game. Like, these games are never really that long, and that's
Mhm.
usually for a good reason, because you are more or less doing the same thing over and
Yeah.
over, just through different stages. But I'd say, because there's two modes, there's like standard arcade mode, and then there's a story mode, which is an objective-based version of arcade, where you go to stages on a world map, kind of like Mario World style, and there's every stage has a list of tasks, like, oh, don't get hit for the entire stage, or execute 5 special attacks, and you get points to level up the character, and you unlock new moves. And if you're playing arcade, all those moves are already unlocked by default. But
Oh.
here it kind of has like a sense of progression, like, oh, I now have an aerial special that I didn't have before. So, it's not like a huge difference, but it's enough of a difference to make replaying, like if you want to replay the game again, like, oh, I'll do it through story mode this time. Because that's also where a lot of the references or extra references are, because you're finding side characters in the environment that then become quest givers. And all the quests are the same, which I'm a little bummed about, because they're all just like, oh, like, find my collectible in this stage. Like Vernon, the news guy from the old show, who's basically the J. Jonah Jameson of Ninja Turtles. He's like, oh yeah, find all my VHS tapes that are hidden throughout the different levels. There are Irma's in this game. She's like, find my secret diaries. So it's like pretty much just variations of that, but it's cool to, I guess, see those characters again.
Is story just single player, or can you?
No,
bring friends
you can
with
go
it?
through it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, which will be probably where a lot of fights will start, because you know how contentious beat 'em ups can be normally, but
Yep.
when you're trying to complete objectives and you're the friend that blows it for everybody, you're like, all right, guys, we can't get
Probably
hit.
me.
There's like avoid 3 stage obstacles. All right, we did it. And then you're the one that's just hitting every one that comes your way. And you're like, all right, I guess we're restarting the stage because we're trying to go for a perfect run. But that should at least lead to some good laughs. But there's a lot of stages. There's over a dozen stages in the game. I won't say how many there are, because then you get into a little spoiler territory. But I mean, more than 12 is a lot. Like, that's double the size usually those games are. And yeah, I probably got through it in like 2.5 hours. So like, that's like a fun evening if you just play through it straight,
Yeah.
and if you're thorough. And yeah, it's just, the soundtrack I want to call out too. The soundtrack composed by T-Lopes, which I don't know if you guys are T-Lopes fans. I love him. He's is a great retro soundtrack. He actually did he's got big from doing a lot of Sonic remixes. Like, he did the Sonic Mania soundtrack.
Oh, cool.
And before that, he was big on YouTube for doing a lot of Sonic stuff. So he's kind of become the go-to guy for like, hey, we got a retro-inspired thing. Can you just do some cool original music or remixes of classic stuff? And he knocks it out of the park with this. There's that Wu-Tang song that became a news story recently that is put to get use in this game in a way I won't spoil.
They
But
kept telling y'all Wu-Tang is for the children, and here it is in TMNT.
it finally paid off, and
Yep.
they used it in an appropriate stage. I will say that.
Is Vanilla Ice in it?
No. I was wondering if there'd be any. There are references to the movies, though. Believe it or not, It's not just the show. There are a couple of really fun references to those live action movies that I was very happy to see. So at least those are there. But yeah, man, this is pretty much just they did what I wanted this game to be. I was like, I just want a really polished, classic throwback TMNT that reminds me of my childhood, but still feels like a modern game. And this checked all the boxes. I'm excited to replay it pretty much multiple times with different friend groups, whether it's you guys or other friends. I think it's great. It's the first great Turtles game in a very long time.
Cool. Awesome.
How's it feel to play a Turtles arcade game that isn't designed to suck up coins?
So
was that weird, or did you feel like it felt the same in that way, or?
Well, there's different difficulties. So you can have it be as easy or as hard as you want. There's
What
3.
difficulty do you recommend people play on?
I mean, I play normal like I do for like 99% of games, especially if I'm reviewing them because I see it as like, oh, this is the developer intended experience.
Right.
And I'd say playing on normal, it was like fine. Like you'll get through it pretty easy. I died a couple times, but I never got game over. It's just like, oh, this boss fight, I lost a life to him, maybe 2 at most, but you get through it.
Yeah.
But I am curious. I want to go back and play it on gnarly, which is
Gnarly.
the hardest
Sounds like
difficulty.
somebody's ready for gnarly mode.
Yeah.
I do want to get gnarly with Shredder's Revenge and see how that is. But I mean, you can also unlike the old games, you can revive teammates when they get downed. So this game is not out to get you in terms of your wallet or anything like that. They cater to different skill levels. So if you want to play with young kids, maybe play it on easy mode so they can get through it.
Yeah. For me as a non-TNT fan, and I did the capture for the video, I'm very much enjoying it. It's not many things can take me away from Rogue Legacy right now, and this is definitely one of them. So be sure to check it out. Check out Marcus's awesome review on GameInformer.com and the video review on youtube.com/GameInformer. Marcus, what did you give TMNT Shredder's Revenge?
I gave it an 8.75 out of 10.
It's a good score to me.
Yeah.
It's a real good score. So cool. And maybe streaming it at some point.
Yeah, we might stream it tomorrow. I'm going to see about that. I would like to be able to stream it with one other person because why not?
Yeah.
I want to point out too, I know this is kind of an I don't want to say buried detail, but I don't think it's out there. Crossplay. And I know we had this problem when we were trying to play. So I put a note in my review to clarify. So this game does have crossplay. However, at launch, there's only crossplay between Xbox and PC, which is Steam and Windows.
Gotcha.
They're working on crossplay between all the consoles, but that's going to come later. So just keep in mind, if you're going to buy this game and you're trying to figure out between your friends, like, what do we buy it on, basically? If you are thinking of playing on different platforms, PC and Xbox only. If you play on PlayStation or Switch, you can only play with, friends in the same platform. So for now,
that's a good call out. Yeah.
Just keep in mind.
For sure. Cool. Well, yeah, be sure to check all that out. I don't have a joke for this. I don't know.
Go
Where do you wanna
ninja, go
Marcus?
ninja, go ninja, go.
Go.
Get out of here, Marcus, I guess. Yeah.
Is that what we're going with? Or?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Bye, Marcus. And then there were 4. We've been ticking them off one by one here, folks. But the show goes on. Blake Hester, look at you. You've been patient, kind young man down there.
Yeah.
Very, very passionate king. I don't know where I'm going with this. You
don't either.
Have a game that you are very excited about, if I'm not mistaken. You got to review Neon White, and I'm dying to hear about it. I'm dying to hear about it. Tell the people.
Yes, sir. This is a new game from Ben Esposito, longtime game maker, music maker, all around seems like affable human being. Perhaps most well known for Donut County, a game I think doesn't get a fair shake for just being awesome.
It's so good.
And granted, Ben, not the sole developer of this one, worked with Angel Matrix, I believe, is maybe a team he put together. I'm actually a little unclear on that. Anyway, it's the new game from Ben Esposito and crew. It is, I would say, wholly unique, at least in the last 10 to 15 years, in its aesthetic and maybe not gameplay, but it's a first-person shooter, essentially first-person shooter platformer built around the idea of speed running. It is to shout out Eric Van Allen at Destructoid. in his review, he said it was like a game that teaches you how to actually speed run games, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
And I think it is, without question, succeeds at doing what it sets out to in just the best possible form and fashion. The basic conceit, like that's the elevator pitch, is there I want to say 90 to 100 levels, maybe plus or minus a few, I'm not exactly sure, all with rare exception can be beat under 1 minute. Some, if you really get good, can be beat within 10 seconds.
Wow.
And you just play through an individual level, trying to get the best times possible. And of course, you know, they have, you can get a bronze rank or a silver, gold, and then ace. I think the draw of this game is, one, going to be phenomenal gameplay. Just to get it out of the way, it feels fantastic. It feels as fast as you want. It feels as fluid as you want. I think the draw of the game is going to come twofold. One is going to be its like one gameplay quirk, which it's first person shooter. It has guns. You shoot them. That's great. Cool. You know, pistol, shotgun, whatever, SMG. But you pick them up via cards strewn throughout a level. And the cool thing it does with its gameplay is, on top of just feeling fast and fun, is you have this discard option, which gives you platforming advantages. So like, for example, the pistol gives you like a double jump. The rifle shoots you straight ahead. The SMG like gives you a ground pound. And then you start to, I don't want to say there's like one solution to get through a level, because you kind of build your own solutions based around the card system and finding your own route to get to the end the quickest. And it just feels so good doing it. I think the big draw of Neon White, on top of the gameplay feeling great, it has that card system, which is just a ball, is the whole vibe, aesthetic, tone of this game, which in my review I said feels like the shirt aisle of a Hot Topic and the anime aisle of a Suncoast Video, if you remember those places, just collided into each other. It is very reminiscent of, it feels like you play it and you feel nostalgic for Neon White, even though it's the first of this thing. Like, you play it and be like, oh yeah, I remember watching Neon White at like 11:30 p.m. on Toonami, or like I remember Capcom put out Neon White 15 years ago. Like, it feels like that, of just like this era that we don't really get a ton of things from anymore. Like I know the creator of Cowboy Bebop has gone on to do other cool shows, but like, we've never gotten Cowboy Bebop season 2 or Cowboy Bebop the movie 2. We've never, I don't think Trigun
TV show.
Right, yeah, I guess that's a good point.
Show.
But like, you know, like Capcom, not to say Capcom puts out bad or uninteresting games, but like, they don't put out, we don't get God Hand 2, you know what I'm saying? And Neon White feels cut from that same cloth. The difference being it came out in 2022 and is made by a non-Japanese staff. Not to imply that it's only pulling from Jap. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
But it's just like so awesome, and it sits in its own little corner right now, or on its own island, because there just aren't games coming out that do that tone, or at least do it well. I think the thing about Neon White is it's stupid in a charming way, which I think a lot of those shows and games are.
I was gonna
slams.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, when you were picked for the review, I was like, in my head I was like, he's gonna love gameplay, he's gonna hate the story, because it was just talking heads and stuff like that. But that is not the case for this, right? The story is bad, but in a good way, it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, it's annoying, but like, it grew on me. Like, it's charming in a way that by the end I was like, oh, damn it, I do really like these characters and I am invested in them. If you read my preview from a few months ago, I would say was mean about the story in a way I don't particularly care for. I wish I would have been a little nicer.
Like, when are you ever mean? Come on.
That's right. So I was surprised that the story like landed with me. I think I needed it in context.
Mm-hmm.
And finally seeing it in context, I'm like, yeah, this does suck. This writing is bad. But like, that's the point, and it's funny and it works. And now I like Neon White, and I really like Neon Red and Neon Yellow. Neon Violet's never not annoying. But like, yeah. I don't know.
I hate Neon Yellow.
Yeah. And like you just package that with a game that I genuinely don't know if I've had more fun playing a game in the past several years. I'm not gonna say ever,
Right.
but in the past several years, like just the baseline of this game is so fun. It feels so good to just like run and jump, and then you mix in the whole card system and beating your own times and checking the leaderboards, especially during the review process where a lot of the people on the leaderboards are your friends or coworkers. You're like, I kicked your ass, Alex. Like, it's so rad. Like, every part of it just hits so hard. And this was one of my most anticipated games, top 3 between Ghostwire, Stray, and this. And like could not be more smitten with how it turned out. Like I was already looking forward to it, and it just feels like they knocked it out of the park on every conceivable level. It's
Wow.
insane. I mean, like to nail it home, of the nearly 100 levels, I can only remember being frustrated with 2, maybe 3. Like it's absurd how well made it is. I just want to gush like I'm their PR person or
I'm
something.
gonna put me in the ring, Blake. Tag me in because I'm gonna gush
Get
too.
him, get him.
It's incredible. It's everything I wanted it to be. No, it's I'm gonna be the guy that compares it to Mirror's Edge because that's the guy I am. Anything that's first person movement with white shiny surfaces, it's Mirror's Edge to me, and it rules. It is, I'm not, as far as Blake, I'm about 30 levels in. But oh my God. And I know I haven't even gotten to like the rocket launcher with the grappling hook and stuff. Like I cannot wait, dude. But I am smitten with the game. It's like I've been up till like 2-3 a.m. playing it the past couple nights. That's also why I'm tired on this episode. But it was for work. It's for the review. Yeah, man, it knocks it out of the park. During the demo of the game, I skipped through every cutscene, and I have found myself skipping some of it too because I just want I want to get to the next level. But so there's 3 games that I have ever been interested in speedrunning. It's the Hitman trilogy, the World of Assassination trilogy, Mario Odyssey, and Neon White. And yeah, it's so much fun. It's so well thought out. I like how, for instance, last night I played a level, and it's this. You start off on this on the water, and one of the rules of the game is that you always move faster on water, and so there might be a path through the level that takes you off the water, and like you'll follow that path for your first run, and then you're like, wait, I could probably shave off 5 seconds if I went off the beaten path and did it this way. And there'll be like, the better you compete in each level, though you'll unlock like hints and gifts for other characters and unlock new things to find in the level. And I got to the point on this one level that I was 30 minutes in and just kept shaving more and more off my time. And I was finally number 1 on my friends list. I was number 2 on the world leaderboard. The only person above me was Ben Esposito. And I was like, but I saw that he had shaved off like 10 seconds off his score. And I was like, how the hell do I do this? Because I had maximized, optimized, whatever, the route. And I knew the route and I perfected it. And I was like, there's another way to do this, isn't there? And through just my knowledge of the game and the mechanics, I was like, hold up. I bet I could break this game. So there's a certain purple card in the game. It's the assault rifle, and when you fire it, it's like it's an AR. But the alt fire is this purple orb that goes out, and it explodes things. So you can use it to like break open doors or kill a big group of enemies. But if you stand on it, it's also like shoots you. Like if you jump and throw it on the ground, it'll shoot you and catapult you up into the air. And I was like, hold on a second. I've got 2 of these cards. What happens if I shoot down both projectiles onto the ground? And I did that, and lo and behold, it shoots you double as high. And so I ended up just like, instead of a level that took me 25 seconds to complete, I narrowed my time down to like 11 seconds because I just like, I would get this one card, double down, shoot up. I'm literally shooting over the entire map up to the finish line to speed run this thing. And that was the moment the game really clicked for me. I was like, holy cow. Like I had no proper information. There was no thing pointing me in this direction. I simply saw somebody else's score and knew I could do it quicker. And I had the tools I needed to do it, obviously, because everyone's on the same playing field. And I just figured it out. And that was just so freaking cool.
Yeah, I think the thing that's like incredible about it is that is what you'll learn playing a level in 15 to 20 minutes, not days or weeks or months of learning how to speedrun. Like you see those YouTube videos of like Dishonored and Doom, the Doom reboot specifically come
Stealth
to mind.
Gamer BR on YouTube.
Exactly. Like I would almost guess that the development team of Neon White watched speedruns of Dishonored and Doom when they made this game, because it feels like those two specifically. But like the fact that you're doing that within a level in 20 minutes is like incredible. That is like a damn masterclass in level design and like teaching mechanics to people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like to make a game feel that way from its foundation is insane to me.
Yep.
Beautiful game. Beautiful game.
It rules. I easily one of my favorites of the year.
Yeah, it makes Elden Ring look like a chump.
I mean, honestly, I have whenever I play a new game, I situate my top 10 for the year just because I have less to worry about at the end of the year. And I've got question marks next to Elden Ring and Neon White. Love both of those games, obviously, but it's a really good game, man.
Okay.
I think also if you grew up, if you're like my age and you grew up like, as they like to call them, the scene kids or whatever, if you grew up in that world, you know, listen to like bands like Drop Dead Gorgeous and like Duck Duck Goose and went to Taste of Chaos and whatnot, when you play this game, you're gonna lose your freaking mind. You're gonna be like, I cannot believe they made a game for people that grew up on MySpace. And by God, they did. It is unbelievable. If you're nostalgic for like Linkin Park AMVs set to like Bleach
DBZ.
or something, when you play Neon White, you're gonna be like, I can't believe someone made a game for me. Finally, they stopped making a game for people who want to join the military and made a game for the real soldiers out there, the MC Army. The My Chemical Romance Army.
I knew where you were going with. Oh my goodness.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I wish more games were like this. No, actually I don't. You know what? I'm glad that Neon White's kind of on its own island. It feels so special. That we got a game like this.
For sure.
That's all I got to say about it.
What did you give this game?
Gave it a 6.75. You know, it just couldn't meet couldn't meet the mark. No, I gave it a 9.5.
Wow.
Which is the highest I've ever given a game in my professional career. I want to caveat that because I know when I was like writing in my personal blog, I scored things like way higher.
10 out of 10.
Yeah,
Wait, I was gonna say that can't go way higher. It's almost.
Well, I think I gave 3/4 Home a 10 out of 10 on my personal blog, which good game. Shouts out to that game. Okay. But in my professional paid career, this is the highest I've ever scored a game, and I stand by it. And if you held my feet to the fire and you'd be like, what did you deduct that 0.5 for? I'm not sure I could tell you. So maybe there's a universe where I gave this a 10. I don't know, but published now.
There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's phenomenal, man. It's bafflingly good. The game looked good. Right. I wasn't expecting to like
be blown away,
lose my damn mind. There was a point. This game was so good, I started to second guess myself. I was like, there's no way. And I've talked to Diego Arguello, shouts out, a longtime freelancer, founder of Into the Spine. And I was like, Diego, I just need you to tell me, is it really that good? And he's like, yeah, man. And I was like, okay, thank God. Because I was worried I was going to be that one dude who like gives a 9.5 and everyone else gives like a 6 or something, you know?
Right. Mm-hmm. Not the
Luckily,
case.
not the case.
Yeah. But you would have stood by it regardless.
Yeah, because the game's good, and I'm smart.
Good game. Yes,
I've been playing some other games.
Well, you have to tweet about them because we got to keep the show on the
Can I do just a 1 second shout out?
Get a lightning round going.
Have y'all ever played Gravity Rush?
Dude,
yes.
I have not.
Come on, you're so late to the game.
I know. I started this game last night. Unbelievable. Game's so cool. Video games. Who knew? They're great.
Who knew? Fun stuff.
Who would have thunk it?
Not us. Tell you what, go to GameInformer.com, read Blake's full review. I'm sure we'll have some sort of video content with it, whether it's the video review or I don't know, maybe a stream. It seems like a good stream candidate.
Yeah, I
so-
would. I wonder if I can stream that. I probably can.
Well,
Do it.
Van,
It'll
Do
be out
it.
when we'll
Dude,
stream it.
yeah.
Van Aken, can I come to your apartment and stream it from your computer?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Kick BA out. He's like,
Dude,
"No."
I'm a pro at that game now. I'm a little
There you
sick.
go. Yeah. Alrighty. We're gonna take a quick break and we're gonna get to housekeeping and community email. Be right back.
Welcome back to the Game Informer Show. We always start off housekeeping with a new podcast review, which you can leave on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. This week's review comes from Kid Fiasco 30 with a 5-star review saying, "I'm just here for the $2 leftover Walmart gift card," which I promised viewers a couple episodes ago. So Kid Fiasco, it's in the mail, man. I might have lied. It might only be $1.50. We'll find out. I hope you really get to splurge and spend that. But this podcast is really good for video game conversation. You guys switch up more than others and keep up the good work. That was the rest of the review from Kid Fiasco. Kid Fiasco, thank you. For legal purposes, there's not a $2 Walmart gift card. That was a joke. But yeah, thanks for taking time out of your day, Kid Fiasco. It does help us out a lot, and we appreciate you. So thank you for taking time to do that. We've got weekly streams this week. We're going to be playing TMNT on Thursday, twitch.tv/Game Informer, 2 p.m. Central. We're also going to be playing some games on Friday, Super Replay, twitch.tv/Game Informer, again, 2 p.m. Central. Every Thursday and Friday, you can find us there. Notable YouTube videos this week. We've got a ton of SGF videos, a lot of gameplay stuff. I've got a really awesome interview with Nakayama and Shuhei Matsumoto from Street Fighter 6. I'm very excited about that. Turned out really great. So keep an eye out. That should be up maybe the day that this podcast goes live. So it's coming along really nicely. We've got 2 videos reviews this week. We've got one for Neon White as well as one for TMNT. So go watch those. We got a lot of stuff coming next week as well. Can we tease what's coming, Alex?
If you like faces that get bit off from like the back of the head down, you're gonna enjoy these videos.
Yeah, if you like space horror, you're really gonna like next week.
Oh, what
we'll
about
say.
martyrs?
Like the people who die for a cause, or what?
You like biblical names, you're really gonna
Head
like
stomps?
next week. Yeah, head stomps. You like, visceral, limb from limb sort of gameplay. You should stay tuned next week.
Don't even know if you knew what you did there. What?
How wild is it? We're not allowed to cuss on this podcast, but
You've done it like 5 times because I've seen Alex.
Also,
write it
Alex, I
down
did
each
know what I
time.
just did there. Thank you very much.
All right.
I picked my words wisely. I never use the word visceral because it's overused, but I specifically used it there.
Okay.
oh yeah, dude, good one.
Yeah. All right. Social media plugs this week. Oh, wait. Kim, I want to plug real quick your interview. I know you mentioned it earlier. You kind of going out on a little bit of a bang. You made Nomura trend. You made Kingdom Hearts trend. We've been doing more plugging of website features on the podcast lately. Just want to point everyone over there to your piece. The headline is Nomura reveals more on Kingdom Hearts 4 and the series' future with Final Fantasy. It's an exclusive interview done by Kim. Really well done. Great work, Kim. People should go read
Thank
that. Social media plugs. You can follow Alex Stadnick at Studnick76. You can follow me, Alex Van Aken, at It's Van Aken. Follow Blake at Metallica is Rad. Follow Marcus Stewart at Marcus Stewart 7. And follow Brian Shea at Brian P. Shea. We've had so many people on the show this week. And of course, follow Kim at KStar1785. Lastly, check out Video Gameography, all things Nintendo, and From Panel to Podcast, which are our other podcasts. Alex, let's get into listener questions.
I'm so disappointed in you that you didn't read Blake's handle.
It's at Radmuir.
It's at Jakob G42 today.
I wrote it and he didn't say it.
Oh, I just go off memory for the handles. Sorry.
It's okay.
Apparently not.
Apparently.
'Cause mine is Jakob G42.
Mm-hmm. Listener emails. This is the part of the show where y'all write into the show, ask us questions, have us play games, share your dreams, hopes, nightmares, whole thing. And Alex Van Aken,
Yes.
they can either send those in at podcast@GameInformer.com, or where else can they send in those questions?
To the official Game Informer community Discord, and you get to access that by subscribing over on twitch.tv/Game Informer. If you have issues getting in, just email me, alexvanaken@GameInformer.com. Just make sure your Twitch is linked to your Discord, and our server should appear. So yeah, that's how you do it.
Cool. And we got a good crop this week, a focused crop on a certain someone, Blake Hester. Everyone's dying to know about your favorite JRPGs.
I bet Persona 5.
Okay,
Not a bad pick.
That's a good one. Yeah.
I've only played like 2 JRPGs.
Yeah. The Discord community. Oh wait, I have to keep my bit going. Actually, Persona 5 nonsense. Apparently, I said one time, so I'm gonna keep.
Did you really say that?
I think so. Yeah.
Never forget.
I think I said like, oh, that Persona nonsense, and the Discord has not let me forget it. So I'm not spending 3,000 hours playing a game. It's just nonsense.
Well, what about 120?
Well,
yeah.
Maybe when it comes to Game Pass. Anyways, Biscuits with Davey writes in, says, if Kim had to make a game whose main character was Pancake, what would the game be in terms of general story premise and gameplay?
I love this. So Pancake, he loves to play fetch. Like, he thinks he's a dog. And so I think a good premise would be if Pancake lost his beloved ball and he'd have to go find it. But the key would be he would keep getting distracted. So like if he saw an insect, he'd try to pounce on it. If he saw a bathtub, he'd go rolling around in it. And Pancake also loves cuddles. So I think if he saw another person, he'd be all like, you know, I'm going to get distracted by that. I might get distracted by a nap. And then also he would call in his friends Corvo and Totoro, which are Elise's 2 cats who come and visit him. And they would be like his help as he tries to get into mischief, navigate obstacles, and find his beloved ball.
That's incredible. Is there voice acting in this game?
Just a bunch of Pancake meows. He's pretty mouthy, but right now he's napping under my blanket. He is just a ball in my bed. And if I didn't see him do it, I would probably accidentally sit on him. So.
Oh no, yeah.
I've done it before.
Would Reagan show up at any point as a boss that Pancake would have to fight?
That's a good one.
Pancake's not a fighter, though. That's the problem. That's why you'd have to call in other people to help him.
Oh.
Pancake's scared of everything. Like, he's scared of even stepping outside. So the big, like, challenge would be like, oh my gosh, I lost my ball and I have to step outside of the condo. Like, that would be like, it would be the first steps in him trying to accept this world and reality that he's so terrified of.
Right. Could Hazel and Wilson be like DLC characters, Alex?
Yes.
Would you let that happen?
Yeah, I guess. For a price.
We'd bring in all the GI pets to help Pancake get through his missions.
Yeah.
He'll need the help.
Okay. I like that. When's the game coming out?
We're gonna go with what Xbox does, and is like, this game's coming out in sometime in the next 12 months.
Okay,
get ready
like
for
that.
it. Get hype.
I like it. Next one comes from Logan. Logan says, what was your favorite game to cover and review? Kim, we can start with you, but everyone can answer this one.
So reviews, like for me in particular, I get a lot of RPGs and they're very long, and it can be hard on a time crunch. But one game in particular stands out to me as being like a longer game, but not feeling that way, and that was Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Like, I just tore through that and didn't put it down. Similarly, I just did Horizon Forbidden West for us, and that game I got through very quickly. It didn't feel, call them games that don't feel like work because of the fact that they go by so quickly, and you want to keep playing them. And you know, there's experiences that are like that, but those really stick out. And then doing The Witcher 3 in a week, and like that not feeling like it was a week, because that's all I wanted to do was play the game. So those are my 3.
Okay, cool. Blake, I think if you have a favorite review game, great. But I know like you, Alex, and I haven't reviewed a ton of games comparatively. So if like there's a one you covered that you enjoy, it's a fair game too.
I enjoyed covering Ghostwire Tokyo because I feel like I had the most expansive coverage of anyone else between that Akumi Nakamura feature, and then they were gracious enough to invite me to interview the director and producer multiple times. I think other press members also did, but I was among those that were invited back for a second interview, and they said, your questions are interesting, and I was like, thanks, I try.
Oh, wait, I have to add one thing to my answer because I'm gonna feel bad if I don't. Coverage wise, Kingdom Hearts, just because the Kingdom Hearts fans are so enthusiastic and so appreciative of any information that you can get for them. So just shout out to them, because that literally was like an adrenaline rush to cover and just see how excited people were every time I posted new information or got out of an interview. Just wanted to say that.
Nice. Okay. VA, how about you?
Weirdly enough, I think my favorite game that, well, non-review wise, was Deathloop. Working on that cover, coming up with ideas for videos. My video essay I did later on. I just really enjoyed covering that game. Reviews, it was actually like probably Battlefield 2042. I
Interesting.
didn't really enjoy that game, but it felt like it was like the first big game I reviewed for Game Informer. I did Pokemon Unite before that, which was much more enjoyable than Battlefield. But Battlefield, it was the whole shindig, 3-day event, in the event with, hundreds of other people and people I recognized, and just, I feel like I also like play a lot of FPS games and had good criticisms, and I felt like, I was calling out things in the game that they are now updating now and changing things now. And I felt like I was like, my critique was, spot on, I think, for some of that stuff. And that felt good after the fact. I felt like, oh yeah, I have expertise in this. And it was cool to see, like, I don't know how all that shook out. So that's probably my favorite coverage I've done for review wise, just because it was more expansive. I felt like I was in my wheelhouse.
For sure.
I wish the game was better.
Right. It is
but yeah.
if you would have told me a year ago or a year and a half ago, whatever it is, that Pokemon Unite would be more fun than Battlefield, I would have said you are out of your goddamn mind. Like, what is the future about to be? But here we are. So
Yeah.
yeah. For me, I think it's the Miles Morales cover that we did last year. That was a wild rush, creating those videos, but also seeing the reaction on the internet. It felt like GI had its own corner of like the attention of like a certain corner of the internet, which was cool. I've never been a part of that, because like, some of those videos did 3 million plus. I think it was more surprising when one of those gameplay videos didn't do 1 million, or one of those interviews didn't do like 100,000 or whatever. So that was the first time I've been a part of that. But also too, it was kind of my first cover story in that way, like doing interviews, getting the gameplay, like getting that out, and finding the best way to decipher that information or disseminate that information. It was a lot of fun. It was also intense though. Like, it was a lot of like quick decisions and me like editing like a fiend to try to get this out and capitalize on the moment. So that was a lot of fun. And then review wise, I think just reviewing the Switch Pro was or excuse me, not the Switch Pro, the Switch OLED was a lot of fun. Just because I hadn't done a console review before. Every review I've done has been interesting, right? But getting to play that thing with Metroid, I think was a really neat experience, and I loved doing the video review. We did it for, because usually it's just taking someone else's words, right, and doing gameplay. But this, I was on camera. It was my own words. Like, it was a fun experience. So
You know why you like that Miles Morales one so much? I remember this. That was actually my first day on the job.
Oh, that's right. I was
We
like,
That was
announced
my
that
first
one.
week.
Yeah, we announced that, and you're like, "Oh, Blake and Alex are here."
yeah.
Now it's your
And-
favorite one.
Also,
my
Alex,
life-
that wasn't a year ago. That's 2 years ago.
Which
Yeah.
was
That was 2020.
Miles Morales.
Time flies. That's what happens.
no wonder I found.
Soon you'll
grays
be
in my
here a
beard.
decade.
Yeah. You
Also, I
never
want to
know.
give a shout out to Elden Ring. That might take Deathloop for me. I don't know. Like, I was a part of the cover. I mean, I was, but I wasn't. Like, I was kind of given stuff after the fact and played assist.
Yeah.
But at the post-launch stuff was really fun to do. Like, the guides and the other content that we did.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's my first like editorialized video that is like close to breaking 1 million. That wasn't just me posting gameplay. It was like, oh, I wrote this entire thing
Mhm.
and I'm trying to help people out. And it's at 870,000 views. That's like it feels different when it's something that you kind of scripted and that kind of thing versus just like, oh, this was kind of handed to me to distribute,
Mhm.
you know? So that was cool.
It
For
was
sure.
fun covering Bully 2 for us. And why it was canceled, to be
Yeah.
clear, and why it was canceled. Don't want anyone emailing me anymore about that game.
That's a cool
Exactly.
feature.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it was really good. All right. Last one here. This is from Judonkanonk over on Discord. And they say, if you could give any JRPG the FF7 remake treatment, what would you choose? Kim, once again, start with you.
Yeah, I think what first comes to mind is actually Final Fantasy VI. But
Oh.
because not like so many people have not played that game and need a way, and not that the game has aged poorly, it's just hard to get your hands on a great version of it.
Mhm.
But for a more interesting answer, one that like isn't just another Final Fantasy game, another game trilogy I don't think enough people played and I really loved was Xenosaga, and that you definitely cannot play easily at all. And it was supposed to be a 6-part series, and it got cut down to 3 games, but like that third game wraps everything up in a way that is so much better than I could have ever expected and hoped for. And like, but the first 2 game, like the first game to go back to it is very hard. It has not aged well, not
Mm.
horribly, but and then 2 is just like a mess, and I would love to see them kind of fix some of the mistakes they made there. And like I said, 3 was just phenomenal for trying to like fit everything they had planned with that series into 3 games after they condensed it. So yeah, that would be my pick.
Nice. Okay. VA, how about you?
Pokemon Gold.
See, I had a Pokemon answer, but that's a
You
Pokemon Gold's a good
Pokemons.
one. Yeah. We are the Pokemans.
Legacy of Goku.
Legacy of Goku. Hell yeah.
I don't know.
I love
Naming the
those
few
games.
JRPGs I've played.
I do love Legacy of Goku. I guess to jump, Blake, I'll ask you in a second. To jump off that, I was thinking, because Heart Gold and Soul Silver were DS, right? So, but those are old, but like I was thinking, okay, what if we got a Ruby and Sapphire, but like a 2D HD, like pixel remaster, kind of like Octopath or Project Triangle Strategy. There it is. Bad name. Having it like feel a little bit more alive, more shimmery, like I think that could be really cool. I did see there was a Twitter video someone posted where like they took Pokemon like the OG Red and Blue and like styled it in the manga
I did
version
see
of
that.
it,
Yeah, that's
and it
cool.
was just super. I would love for a game like that. I know that's like more of a fever dream than or a pipe dream more than the pixel remaster, but like I thought that'd be kind of cool. But anyways, Blake, take us home.
I've only played like 2 JRPGs in my life, so I'll just do a JG, a Japanese game. The first Siren.
I don't know what that
Keiichiro
is.
Toyama's the game he made after he left Team Silent, after making Silent Hill 1, made Siren. Looks absurdly terrifying, but also looks like it plays as bad as most of those games do.
I tried to
by
go back
modern
and play it
standards.
recently, and
Yeah.
it's rough.
Yeah, so if like that got, I don't know, some $50 million remake budget, that'd be cool as hell. I'd be into that. That's it.
Cool.
Word.
Alrighty. If that wasn't a great last episode for Kim, I don't know what is. We gave you all the time in the world we could give you. Kim, I am going to miss you incredibly. I think the thing I value more than your writing ability and how you've helped me grow as a writer is your kindness and compassion you've shown to me. So I appreciate you. You are obviously, we're not leaving each other's lives, right? But like, you know, it's going to be different. And I appreciate the hell out of you, friend. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Likewise, Kim. You have been one of the bright spots in my shorter time at Game Informer. Yeah, you're just awesome.
Yeah. Even as an intern, you went out of your way to help me. I remember sitting in the third floor conference room with you going over interview questions one time. That was always helpful. And that obviously did not change when I came here. You have been an idol and a constant source of inspiration and good edits, even when they were hard. So I nothing but appreciation and love for you, Kim.
Thank you. Well, I just want to say, the readers and everybody through the years, thank you for following me and reading my work. I went to journalism school and wanted to just be a writer. And I always said I wanted to be a features editor at a magazine, and I achieved that. And it meant so much to me, and I felt such a privilege to be able to do this every day. But even what mattered more was like hearing people's appreciation for the stories that I was able to tell. And like that is going to stay with me long after this, and all the people and the memories that were created with it. But, I don't think people realize how much it keeps you going when you hear feedback, and when, people would always say, I found this JRPG because of you. And that just would always warm my damn heart, because I was just like, if I could just, if I brought that genre to you in any way, or if I let you know about some indie game you had no idea about. I think I was one of the first people who found Gone Home, and I did like a huge feature on that. And I had no idea that game was going to explode the way it did. But like little things like that sticks with me. Like I said, the Kingdom Hearts fans always like being so polite to me, and appreciating like all this, like so many memories. So thank you guys all. Like it's been a hell of a decade, and I feel like I'm going out with a lot, and thank you all for that.
Yeah. Thank you again, Kim. Yeah, you're incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been what? Is it 610? There's a lot. We did a lot of episodes
610.
recently, but I think this is 610.
Yep.
Thank you so much for listening, for watching. We'll be back next week with maybe a little dive into Nintendo. They've been quiet so far, but be sure to look out for that. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Play Gravity Rush in Neon White.